Welcome to the Honest Wargamer. My name is Rob, and today I'm joined in the room by Mr. Nick Oss the Third.
The third
How are you, Nick?
of Nikos Hall. Yeah, I'm good.
My
You?
apologies for us being late, Nick. That one of the cameras didn't want to talk to the other cameras.
It wasn't Tom's fault for once.
Wasn't. We had to rub it on. We had to rub it with incense. Am I right?
Yeah. There's a lot of rubbing going on.
A lot of rubbing going on.
A lot of oils.
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 And speaking of rubbing, there's a man who's live streaming from home today, Mr. Tom Eldari, Game Changer. How are you, Tom?
I can't be late if I never arrive. That's how it works.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, this is. So I apologise to Bolt. Evening. Hello all. So welcome to the show. If you're listening to the podcast live on YouTube or Facebook. Thanks very much. We're going to be talking 40k today. That's the subject of the show. Hello, Silly Wang, and Silo Wang, sorry. And we're going to be talking about...
Dionysus is here as well. Dionysus is here as well.
Dionysus is here as well, or as I like to call it, Van der Hoosen.
Van der Hoosen.
Yeah, Van der Hoosen. We met a real machine god this weekend, didn't we, in Van der Hoosen?
Mm.
Yeah, he was a nice guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, one of the great overlords.
Yeah, one of the great overlords and Necron player. So the main subject of today is going to be the Warhammer World 40k Heat 2, which both me and Nikos attended.
Yes.
Yeah. And Tom, you're going to be there. But then because of that, some talking points emerged from the weekend, which I'd like to discuss, and for the people listening at home, how they could deal with those challenges. And also, it's still part of the ongoing workbook that I'm making behind the scenes for Patreon, which I'm sure you're aware of, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom, how are you before we get started?
I'm alright, thanks, man. I'm a bit ill, so I'm not spreading my gift of Nurgle around the office for once.
Good. I'm glad you haven't also spread it here.
Mm.
Yeah, no. Well, that was yeah. Yeah. I gave it to the kids, but apart from that, you guys are fine.
Oh, thanks. Gorlak, hello. Happy to be able to join the live show tonight. Welcome. Dionysus, obviously, I would say that Dutch names are hard to say, especially when you're not trying. Servitor, evening. I saw Servitor at the weekend.
You did, yeah.
That was cool.
With his mini Servitor.
Yeah, and mini Servitor.
Mini Servitor.
Yeah, is that how it's... Hello, this is mini Servitor. Provoke Tree, damn, Tom looks like Nikos, and Nikos is a computer monitor now.
He is.
Hi, Tom. I got hotter. So yeah, Tom, you're good. Any 40k? Any 40k this week?
Mate, I've been sorting out my office, so I've got the wall of NA now, thanks to Nikos and to Canhammer Chris. So I've got
excellent.
Around the wall, which is nice. I've got all my armies in cabinets, which I didn't even know were possible.
Nice.
And now I've got my airbrush as well, and my airbrush cleaner. I'm ready to go. It's going to be a good week next week.
Good. Nikos, how has your week been in Warhammer terms?
Week in Warhammer.
Yeah, ignoring the heat this weekend.
Ignoring the heat.
The main subject of our conversation today.
So I played another game of Kill Team with my Tau. So we had a 4-player multiplayer Kill Team, which is really cool.
It does sound cool.
Yeah, it went pretty close. It was a really sort of enjoyable game, particularly with the alternative activation for shooting and things like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying playing my Tau, but I don't have any stealth suits, so I've bought some stealth suits now.
Nice.
Because they're pretty good in Kill Team.
Speaking of Tau, this weekend, Battlefield Birmingham 72.5. Wasn't that? I think it was Battlefield Birmingham 14.
Okay.
A 40k event.
14, I think.
I think it was 14, maybe. Where they did actual real life 40k, not Game Workshop 40k.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
And a Tau list won it, I'm right in thinking.
So I hear.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Well, I also won because I got even more juicy drama, not just the drama from the Heat, but the drama from Battlefield Birmingham as well. I got like the Puppet Master.
Was there some gossip from Battlefield Birmingham?
Did you go to Battlefield Birmingham, Tom?
I didn't know. I just have spies everywhere.
Plus, he's locked in whatever mechanical chamber he sounds like he's in.
Yeah.
Tom, are you like the guy from Game of Thrones, the eunuch?
Yeah, I've got no bollocks.
Spies everywhere. Varys, yeah.
The spider.
I bet all children. Send them off to tournaments. All right.
Yeah. Hi Hook and Pin. Hi, welcome to the show. J Boo Studio. Everyone. Hi. Hi Eyeglass. Sorry, 86. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, obviously we're taking questions on Twitch. As always, a massive thank you to everyone on Patreon. We've got a couple of new patrons this week.
Ooh,
so thank you to you because they obviously let us do this show for a living, and also everyone on Twitch who subscribes, donates bits, all that jazz. Just big shout out to you. You're the reason we're able to be so great. So thank you. Crowdfunded. That means we don't have to do no fibbing, which is always great. So
hashtag pleasant plastic.
Pleasant plastic. Hashtag.
I'm not going to mention the podcast, but I was listening to a podcast the other day that I used to enjoy, but I was listening to it and they were talking about Kill Team, and
Were they just over the top?
Oh man, it was difficult to listen to just because they were just so over the top in love with it, and it was just like, okay.
Were they flogging models?
They just appeared to be trying to, I don't know. Yeah.
It's awkward, isn't it? Because like the genuine enthusiasm that people have for the hobby, it's really difficult to like marry that with, like, someone messaged me the other day saying, "Oh, Rob, sometimes you bash Games Workshop a little bit." And actually, I listened to some new people, and I really appreciate your show. But those new people decided to turn the show off because it kind of put them off. And I was like, okay, that's a fair point. Like, I completely get your feelings. But I think fair criticism, I think, is the way we go about it. Because I'm enthusiastic about Warhammer. Like, as much as some of the things about the weekend that I'm going to talk about, I did not enjoy. I had a really good weekend. Like, I had two very fantastic games. So yeah, like I had a crack. Like, I'm still enthusiastic about it, but with
when we're being enthusiastic, it's genuine. I hope, anyway.
Yeah. It's just honest enthusiasm. Yeah. I also worry about those podcasters or like YouTube creators or whatever who aren't professional or seasoned like sellers or marketers. So they get given something for free, and then they're like, but if you could be like, upbeat about it, and they're like, I sold my child for this, it's better than children. And you're like, maybe calm down a bit. You're like, you're not great.
And at the end of the day, I think like we criticize things because at the end of the day, we want what's best for the hobby, right? So if we love this hobby so much, but we see something that's a problem, we want to criticize it and make it better at the end of the day. It comes from a place of love, not from a place of hate.
Yeah, it does. It comes from it all comes from a place of love. Oh, you did, you sneaky. You're clever, Nick. What? Nick is clever. He said, right. So, with Tom, any more ado? So, Battlefield Birmingham was won by a Tau list, right?
It was, yes.
And that's big news because has a Tau army won a major tournament yet?
In 8th edition, I don't think so.
So this is a big deal.
So I've got a vague outline of the list. If you want me to just very quickly.
Would you know who ran the list?
So it was a guy called Simon Pridis, who's from Team Draco.
Simon Primis.
Simon Pridis.
Pridis has to get our award of the week.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. Like, do you want to see his list and then you can decide?
100%. He still won with Tau. Everyone said that's
he
not
did,
it.
But he won with 3 Tau. In fact, no. I think Alex Harrison won an event with Tau previously in the edition.
Nah, he doesn't ever. He's never allowed to actually win an event. Like all assumption is he cheated his way to that victory.
Okay.
He should be stripped of all trophies.
What?
He should be stripped of all
trophies and made to walk the halls of Warhammer World while bells ring and shame is shouted.
Shame.
Yeah. And shade.
So the list effectively is, there's a unit in the Imperial Armor Xenos book called the Tiger Shark Fighter Bomber.
Nice.
Not the Tiger Shark AX, the Tiger Shark Fighter Bomber.
Is it good in close combat? Is that why it's a fighter bomber?
It's good at getting close and shooting people.
So more of a bomber.
More of a bomber
than a fighter.
It's obscenely undercosted. It comes with 2 heavy burst cannon. It normally comes with 2 ion cannon, but you swap them for 2 heavy burst cannon. Then it has 2 normal burst cannon and 2 missile pods on it. It's a toughness 8 flyer with 16 wounds.
So you broke up there, Tom. What did you say?
It's a toughness 8 flyer with 16 wounds.
Machine Spirit, apparently, this Thursday. This is the thing about doing the show live, or just generally doing things. It can be fast. Tom, are you back?
I think so. Am I?
Okay. We heard you say
toughness 8.
Toughness
Bomber. 16.
Toughness 8, 16 wounds.
A toughness 8 bomber. Is it supersonic?
Yeah.
So it's -1 to hit.
-1 to hit. It's got a 5+ invulnerable save.
Holy
Wow.
shit! That sounds great.
And it's ballistic skill 2.
Wow. Can it hover?
And it, let me just double check. I don't think it can hover, but it does move between 20 and 75 inches, so it's got a pretty wide.
I want to hear more about this, but I'd also like to point out that Ron Bowell is in the chat. Yeah, and he says Simon got first turn in the final game against me, so Ron could have potentially won the tournament and removed 100 cultists in the first turn.
Wow. Hashtag the first turn problem. Hashtag the first turn problem.
Hashtag the first turn problem, but still.
I'm not entirely sure on the context of the rest of the list, but I know I have the 3 Tiger Bombers. I think the chap that I'm talking to about what he had, who had a lot of people who went to Battlefield Birmingham.
By the way, Ron Bowell says it's Taff.
Oh yeah, hi Taff. He had Iron Heads, Commander, and a load of drones apparently, but Taff would probably know better than Tess.
Okay, but still, you know, fair play to I mean, that sounds like a great unit. How much does it say that unit costs, or are you not able to see that?
So I'm just going to scroll down now very quickly. It says 21 power level, which means it's generally reasonable.
Yeah, that's. I always think that. I always look at the power level of a model and think
Straight to that.
quick
Assume the cost.
a quick guess to the chat and everyone there. A Primaris
I'm going to say...
a captain in Gravis armor, power level of...
5.
Your guess is as good as mine. I go for 6. Tom, your guess?
What in Gravis armor? Sorry, I'm trying to count the points.
Primaris
captain in Gravis armor.
125.
Interesting guess.
125 power?
Yeah.
Oh, power level. Oh, I think meant points. 8 power level. Because, I don't know. That sounds about right.
Everything sounds right. Dino says that's too many. Wolfbury Skajal says 1. And Boba, she says 18. The answer is always too many power levels.
So I've just checked on the fighter bomber.
Yeah.
Somewhere just under the 425 points mark.
For 16 toughness, 8 wounds. With a 5 of invulnerable save.
Plus invulnerable save and -1 to hit. And hitting on 2s and all the guns under the sun.
Simon also had long strike and another iron hammerhead. Hi, Chris Frosterin. So that's.
I guess he had a battalion then.
Yeah, it'd be super interesting to talk to him if we ever get the chance. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear what a seasoned Tau professional does, and also how does he walk into the room and just say, "Get ready to be born as hell, boys. Yeah, I'm going to roll a lot of dice." But big shout out. He's got to feel really happy. Hi, Shadow Caesar.
Just 3 big vehicles with lots of shooting. That must be really boring to play against.
Oh, Nick, we're going to talk about your army in a minute. Don't you worry.
He played orcs beforehand, so he's used to rolling lots of dice.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I personally, I think that event looked really great. So big shout out to the TOs. Everything I heard, it said it was really well ran.
I heard a really average painter won the best painter, though.
Yeah, the best painter was
really
won by someone
really
who is well known in the Australian Warhammer Age of Sigmar community for being just a general dick. The 40k English community think he's okay, but you know he's painting.
We're all dicks.
Well, he's winning. he won a painting award at the end of the day. I mean, really, who cares?
40k community don't.
It's really funny. The guy there's a picture of who the TO or whoever was giving out the awards for best painted, and like everyone else, he stood next to like the winner, like big cheesy smile, and then best painted, he's like stoic. He's like, oh, fucking, I have to do this. Like we have to do these. You're the first one. You're the first person that's ever tried. But yeah, that was won by Mark Wildman. So big shout out to Mark. Again, his like maybe his third 40k event in the past year, and he's again come. I think he came 10th. He went to the LGT. He came in like the top 20 or so. He's just doing really well. Took Chikari. So that's an AOS guy moved over into 40k and playing that. So it's nice seeing some people transition that way. Because most of the other guys are transitioning the other way. So it's quite cool knowing both communities and everyone being like, oh, I might do this. High Moon
like the
Tyranid.
games are quite similar.
Huh?
It's almost like the games are quite similar.
Yes.
It's easy to transition.
It is, but different enough that they're unique, right?
It's still interesting,
Yeah. So, okay, cool. Nick, you happy Tau won?
Not really.
Not really.
That was so deadpan. I like it.
Please explain to me your feelings.
I don't know. Tau just seem a bit, just because they're very one-dimensional with shooting.
Yeah.
And I've
Are you upset that they can't attack in line? That's the phrase.
Attack in line.
Yeah, attacking line would be being able to do a psychic power. Like the best version,
Okay.
You could attack close combat and shoot a unit at the same time. That's attacking in line. Or you could do a psychic power and shoot, or do a psychic power and close combat.
Yeah, because they don't have psychic. They don't really have combat either.
No.
They're just shooting. So
Yeah, but they've got some kick-ass models. Riptide looks badass.
The Yavara looks
they're
really
pretty
good.
cool.
Broadside with the big rail cannon.
I'm less happy about it that it won just because it was just 3 of the same thing.
Well, you don't like it. Oh, what, 3 of the same thing?
Yeah, just 3 of the same thing with some other
Some
things.
people don't have that much
behind
stuff
it.
in the codex, man. Stop making me jelly.
Yeah,
That's not in the codex. That's in the Forge World book.
Exactly. Some people have Forge World books to go to.
And again, it's like, is it just undercosted Forge World stuff?
Yes.
When's that again?
3 times.
When was that an issue? It was an issue one time.
Raytos
With a giant
Alcaraz
bird.
or whatever his name is,
Huh?
yeah.
Raytos Alcaraz, aka Super Chicken, aka Big Bird, Malefic Lords. What was the other one?
2.
Yeah.
Also, the Fire Raptor.
Yeah.
Fire Raptor.
Yeah, but
There you
name
go.
one more time.
So name one more time. And also, what have Forge World ever done for us? Yeah, apart from great models and a great Horus Heresy game, and also just generally doing customer service when Games Workshop wouldn't. What have Forge World ever done for us?
Yeah, nothing, exactly.
Exactly.
Terrible.
Yeah. This weekend I saw the Taunar for the first time since Diagnosis. On the bottom table, I imagine. Just one guy with a Taunar.
What's a Taunar?
That's a big suit.
Oh, that. Someone had that.
Someone had that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I think Diagnosis just saw it in the shop because he's never seen it.
Oh,
he's never seen it on the tabletop in a game.
Okay, yeah. That's
Why did
understandable.
that guy win Best Painted just for bringing a model that no one recognised? It just looks cool. That's all it's there to do, and it didn't even win Best Painted, man. That's so sad.
I know. All right, okay, yeah, and Unicron John, big shout out to John. He's at a comic convention this weekend doing some drawings. So if you happen to be in the area of, John can fill that information in for me. And I'll repeat it. Yorkshire.
Is he in Leeds?
It's quite large, isn't it?
Yeah, Yorkshire's the biggest county.
Yeah, probably should tell me where. But John, who does loads of the artwork for the show, will be there doing some drawings, probably taking commissions. Also, if anyone ever wants a commission of them painted as a Raspberry, but more likely a Space Marine, an Orc, a Necron. Nick, you're drawn as a Necron. Tom, you're drawn as an Eldar. I'm patiently waiting for me as a Chaos Dwarf. Not chipping Tom along because John along because I always take the piss anyway, so it's fine. But John will probably draw you as he takes commissions. So there you go. He does loads of work. Chris Fostering, him as a Necron. There we go. Leeds is called Thought Bubble.
Thought Bubble. Okay.
But he has written it Bublé, so it might be sponsored and produced by Michael Bublé. I can't be sure. Maybe he's into cartoons. Right, okay. Other news in the 40k community? Doesn't seem to be loads.
Still no FAQ.
The thingy came out on pre-order. On pre-order this week is the knight character with the special weapon that we like from
Canis
Forge
Rex.
World.
What's
Canis
it called
Rex,
again?
the Atropos.
What's the weapon called again?
Lascutter.
Lascutter.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Great.
What does that even do?
The Lascutter, it's
It's
amazing.
like the best weapon
It's
ever.
the best weapon, Tom. Like when me and Nick have done night fights, it's the best weapon. It allows you to reroll hits and wounds in close combat against Titanic vehicles.
Is it like, you know, in a Phantom Menace where they open up that door with a lightsaber and they stick it through and they just cut the door open?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, but it's got a flat 6 damage.
Yeah.
The only positively memorable thing in the prequels.
In what prequels?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Which ones?
The prequels.
Dudar Day, thanks for subscribing. He also says, hi nerds, which is very rude.
That's offensive.
Before we go on, there is a piece of news which I think is public now. Or it's public enough that we can talk
You
about
hope
it.
it's public now because you're going to say it anyway.
Too late if it's not.
You roll your dice, you take your licks. Some people may or may not know, hi LLV, may know that I formerly once was the host of a TV show produced by a games company called ModelFloggers.com.
Were you?
I was.
Really?
And then when I left, they hired a replacement for me,
Okay.
a fine young lady. and she has left also.
Ah,
So it seems the tenure of a Games Workshop employee is only not a Games Workshop employee, but
1 year.
the Warhammer Live
presenter.
commentator is a singular year.
just a single cycle.
A single cycle, yes. One rotation,
The most
and
one person can take.
then you must be unplugged from the machine
Yeah.
and moved along. So that's interesting. It's not. I don't really think it's our gossip to talk about. If we ever get the opportunity, I would love to interview Kerry on the TV. Have her come on the show, and we could just try not to torn it.
Would it be a tell-all?
I don't know. It wouldn't be a tell-all. It would just.
No.
I think what would be interesting is just talking about the challenges of the job
Mm.
and me being able to understand that element of it,
Yeah.
and just being like, what you do when the game finishes in like 35 minutes. It's like, and you're not allowed to say all games finish in 35 minutes of 40k or something similar.
Yeah.
How did you approach that? That'd be fun. Tom, you bothered or not bothered? Means nothing to you on your radar of life.
I mean, it's curious. Like, obviously, I played on the TV with Kerry commentating, but it's not really my area of expertise. I'll just leave it to the experts.
Okay. Nikos, any thoughts on that piece of gossip? I mean, is gossip only really relevant to me? I'm sure some people do watch Warhammer Live still, but it's only relevant information to me because it was kind of my ex-job. I shouldn't even bring it up on the show, but I am. So
Yeah, I've not really watched One Life much, really.
it's fine. Look at you, don't care, not bothered. Restanti, thanks for the bits. 2 little pups worth of bits. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Kerry isn't. Yeah. Anyway, we wish her good luck.
Yes.
In all future
On to
endeavours.
pastures new.
Yeah, if there is a new cheers
Well, you
to
don't have to-
Kerry,
well, you don't
and
have
if
to
there
be
is a new
pleasant
TV
for
show
us.
coming out called The Honest Wargamer 2, The Electric Boogaloo, I'm like, you can't steal the idea.
Wargamer.
Open it right next to the original, like the Krusty Krab.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be good. All right. If you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube, obviously, we're on Twitch, so join us there, please. So on with the main subject of the day. So I'm going to prefix this. I don't really like talking about tournaments. I hate it when you tune into your favourite podcast and then they spend an hour and a half talking about the tournament they were at the weekend or a game they had. With that said, let's spend an hour and a half talking about the tournament we were at this weekend. But at the end of that, is going to be a bunch of questions. Some people may know or may not know I'm trying to work on a workbook. We're also trying to work on some interesting stuff, other stuff behind the scenes for the Honest Wargamer. Coming to you guys soon.
Coming soon.
And one of those things that I definitely learned, or I'm going to talk about at the end, is one of the questions that's going to go into the workbook that came up from one of my games. So there will be some gossip and some cool chat. And at the end of it, I may also get some fruity language in at some point. At the end of it, I think there should be a really constructive and healthy conversation about a couple of things.
Hopefully,
So is that okay?
Yeah.
That
Sounds good
said,
to me.
Nikos, what was it like having the easiest weekend of your life?
Oh man, it was so relaxing. It was like a spa weekend for me.
Yeah.
Sit back and relax.
Just chill.
9 models in the army.
So let's talk about what was in your army. But before that, the event we're talking about is Warhammer World Heat 2. The Heats, in case you don't know, Games Workshop has now sold 4 lots of tickets for them.
Yes.
Well, there is another piece of gossip, actually. Only locals really would maybe care. Hi, Aceface. So Warhammer World, normally it sells 100 tickets. Never 100 people turn up, so it's never 100 people.
Was there like 97, I think?
90-something. A
90
lot of people
something.
do, and this is a pretty good scam to do, is just turn up on the day and try and get your ticket on the doors. A lot of people, I mean, obviously, depending on where you are in the world. So there's an option there. But
You
before...
still have to pay though, right?
Huh? Yeah, you still have to
pay.
pay. Yeah, you still have to pay.
Yeah.
You still have to pay. So there's 4 of them, and then the top 35, maybe 33 or something, will qualify to go to the finals. The finals last year were held at Warhammer Fest, but I don't think they're going to be this year.
So this year they've said it's going to be at Warhammer World.
So it's going to be at Warhammer World. And the big piece of gossip that we've heard about that is that Games Workshop have stopped people being able to book their tables at the weekend in the hall for free.
Is it just the weekend?
Just the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So, well, they've stopped all booking. It's just most other times it's not worth booking. And if you're like an international listener, you're like, I don't give a shit. That doesn't affect my life. But I think the exciting piece of information that you can draw from that is that probably because a third of the hall is taken up with kind of like feature tables that they use for people to book at the weekend and play big games. They probably are going to get rid of them and then just expand how big those tournaments can
tables,
be.
Yeah.
So the heats probably will be bigger in the future, which are Games Workshop's competitive tournaments, the heats. Yeah. So that's kind of... What do you think of that? Sorry?
I like the idea of not being able to book tables from a personal point of view because, I mean, I didn't know it was just at weekends. I did hear that on Wednesday that they're going to stop people booking tables because often when I've gone down, like on a Friday night or on a Wednesday, you turn up and there's a whole row of tables with no one playing on them, but then there's a reserve sign on each table.
Yes.
And like clearly someone's booked an entire row, but they're not turned up.
I mean, it's even worse.
It's really annoying
because I mean, now some people, if you're not English, you won't really get this, but you could just walk into the streets of anywhere in England, take a reserve sign, put it on anything, and all of a sudden people just will be like, "Oh no, I want that."
No one will go near it. Oh, pardon me.
You can put it on someone's own car and then walk up and go, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Apologies, I didn't realise you did.
My car from your reserve side.
Tom, does it bother you much at all?
Well, here's the question I have. Does it impact specialist boards, for example, the ones that are kind of...
Those are the ones that are going to go, I imagine.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So, because you often get a lot of people that turn up and just play like a 16-person game on one of those boards at the back.
Yes.
And if they're keeping those around, I kind of feel bad for people that turn up with like 16 people and someone else is already on that board.
I think it's not going to be possible in the future, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they sell those boards. And
I'm not too bothered about losing those boards because although they look cool, like they've got a table with like a Titan crashed in the middle.
That's awesome.
And I played a game on it. It looks very cool, but like the actual board to play on wasn't that functional to play on.
Well, there
was loads of rubble everywhere.
Yeah. Well, when we played with John on that that city board with your Necrons and the Deceiver and all that, it was kind of like it wasn't particularly practical. But,
No.
But I guess it isn't necessarily of utmost importance that the board is practical for a lot of people. They just want to come down, play on a really cool board with a mate.
Yeah.
So to play devil's advocate, as everyone ever, when I go, maybe the rules could be a little bit tighter, or it seems completely unfair that I have a £350 Town-R battlesuit that's dog shit in a game and I can't use it. People go, well, they are a business and they need to make money. Yeah, and you go, oh, thanks for the compassion, you fucking scurrilous prick. By the way, I've been playing a lot of Warhammer today, so I'm in a very sweary mood. I apologise. Yeah, I feel.
Does Warhammer make you angry? It's like
no, I just get I just get very vocal when I play, and then have you muted yourself? Oh, awesome! I get very vocal when I play. So yeah, I did that this weekend. No, today, so I might be a bit sweary. But the heats this weekend, Tom, 100 players. They've sold £70 tickets each. They made, I think I'm doing my maths right here. They made £7,000, right?
Yeah.
If they can add another 50 tables, every weekend making £10,500 every weekend for a tournament is a big deal.
So would they take those boards in and out, or would they just take them out, replace them with normal boards, and then just leave them?
Yeah, I think they're going to just take them out. They're just going to be like, screw you guys, and just put tournaments on every weekend. That makes the most fiscal, financial sense, right?
Oh yeah, 100% it does. It's just kind of sad for people that like the cool boards and they're all about that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I understand it fiscally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Also, Reticenti, I hope Nikos has muted the microphone. We don't want a repeat of the incident. No one wants that. Tom, I suppose you won't know about the incident, but there was an incident. There was this. We don't speak of it, but there was an incident one time. Ooh.
Okay. Well, it didn't happen.
Yeah. And then Chris Froston said, I'd like him to have better spacing if they make it more of a gaming centre. Yeah, I think I'm going to talk to Nick, actually, before we get on with the games, about what he thought. And I know some other people that were there this weekend, like J-Booth Studio was there this weekend. Obviously, Dionysus was there this weekend. I know people like Ace has obviously been before. There's a bunch of people in the chat who've already been to Warhammer World events. I'll wait for Nick to get back to... Tom, you played at the events as well, right?
Yeah, I played at E1.
Good, right, okay. So, the question is, Nikos, I was just going to say, before we got on with the games, Lucas Maximus spacing at Warhammer World is terrible. So,
Yes.
so you went to Ace's event. If you turn to that,
Yes, it's back on.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
you went to Ace's event 2 weeks ago.
I did.
which
Yeah, it was awesome
called
time. Twisted Fate.
Twisted Fate. So we went to Warhammer World, the home of Games Workshop, and their gaming like mecca. So let's just give us a rating out of 10, let's say. So how would you rate the event based on the boards and scenery?
The boards and scenery, I would say, is probably a 9. Because each table they had was themed.
You're such a dick. Go on, yeah, keep going. Yeah, go on, 9. Yeah, all right, good.
Okay.
Yeah, go on. No, I'm so ready for this.
So all the boards and table were themed, so they all looked really cool.
Yeah.
So and then
no, wait, you're talking about Warhammer World or Aces event?
Oh, I'm on Aces.
No, I'm talking about Warhammer
World.
World.
Warhammer World. Okay.
I thought you were going to say a 9, and then you were like, because I had 3 nights, there was no line of sight blocking terrain, and it was a fucking treasure. Sorry, go on, Warhammer World.
I don't know, maybe a 6.
A 6. So, do you want to qualify why a 6?
Because it looks cool because the Games Workshop ones are, well, the Games Workshop terrain is nice looking, although the painting of it on the table is, fairly basic because they've got to do loads to a reasonable standard. So it's not like the signature feature boards are obviously really, really nice.
Yeah.
But the standard generic spam this terrain
1,000 times
is just like pretty standard, so you can understand that. There's very little line of sight blocking terrain. Every big building, you might have a massive big building, but then the bottom level has windows all the way around. So someone goes, yeah, my Bane Blades are going to shoot your character through that tiny window with all of its guns at no penalty. You're like, oh, okay, right.
Good.
There's always a fairly decent amount of area terrain, which is all right. But one of the big things that I don't like about playing at Warhammer World compared to other events is that most events now have lovely maps like this.
They do.
But Games Workshop, they have their own, I can't remember what they're called, Realm of Battle boards.
Battle.
And they've got the awkward
I like to
hill.
call them the Realm of Bounce boards.
The Realm of Bounce, yeah. When you roll your dice on it, it's like clonk.
Clack, 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 clack.
Really horrible noise.
Yeah.
And then the hills, your models slide around on them all the time if you're still on the hill. It's just,
Okay, so comparing it to an independent event run by not an international company who made £150 million this year, so you would give Games Workshop a
6,
and you would give Aces event
a 9.
And Tom, comparing Warhammer World scenery this weekend. Well, I know you weren't there, but like scenery in general, which there was more of it this weekend than there ever has been as a fair.
More than Heat 1, because you were at Heat 1 as well, so how is the contrast?
There was more than at Heat 1.
Okay, but still not line of sight blocking, right?
None. Almost none. It was like someone in the chat here is saying, Jay Booth saying you couldn't even hide a Marine. Chris Frostring was there this weekend. He says he would give it a 5. Dionysus was there this weekend. He said no mats, but I hate those crappy boards. Lucas Maximus was there this weekend. Tables are bad. I think I only had line of sight blocking in one game. So compared to the LGT, which famously had, now I'm not 100% certain, but it had polystyrene cutout boards. They also had tin cans from a local food bank. And
you stole them, didn't you?
yeah, and sandbags as terrain. But it was functional, I think. So,
yeah. Well, just not me right now. So,
what would you prefer?
I would prefer LGT personally, but the difference of Warhammer is quite interesting because when you get up to if you get onto the stream, there's actually a decent amount of sight blocking because you have lots of crates everywhere.
Yeah,
and they're quite tall crates. Whereas on the rest of the boards, they're mostly made of, oh, well, here's a big ruin. And sometimes you get ruins that are quite lucky and you'll have like one facing that's quite blocked off, so there won't be any windows in it. And then if you get the right deployment, it will be able to block a small amount of things for you.
Yeah.
But most of the time, first of all, you have to be luck dependent to get on a lucky board with this on it. But you have to be luck dependent to get the right deployment for it actually to be effective. When you need a matchup in which it's actually going to get used, it's understandable why the boards are seen as not having much line of sight blocking. Even though if you go down to Warhammer World and you wander around, you might see the odd bit of terrain that you think could be used in a line of sight blocking function.
Yeah, but out of 100 boards, not much.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, nice. Okay, so I think that's a fair representation. My experience was exactly the same as yours guys' experience. Like little to none. You can maybe hide a single character, maybe. That would be it. Like, it was fairly unimpressive. I hate the Realm of Battle boards. Even though Games Workshop is my local hobby, a place that I go play games, apart from when I play here. So the Realm of Battle boards suck. Also for placement of scenery, there's like, the hill
Very
takes
limited,
up,
isn't it?
Yeah, the hill takes up like a third of those like 4 corner piece boards.
Yeah.
So you can't really place scenery on there. So it becomes a little bit similar.
And they have you got the grid on it.
Yeah.
Rather than
Yeah.
So
anyway, I think that's good and fair, healthy debate about the terrain.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be better, especially when you went to an independent event recently and it was way better.
What I liked about that is that they had each table was themed with like a different theme, and they had different styles of terrain. So one table that I played on had lots of terrain on, minimal line of sight blocking, and lots of area terrain. And then there was another board I played on which had like ruins around the outside, but then a big, massive like building structure in the middle. So one massive bit of line of sight blocking in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there's other boards that I didn't play on that didn't have any area terrain at all, but then just had like 12 massive line of sight blockers. So that would have been really interesting to play on. So there's loads of places to hide, lots of little like channels and things like that to find out.
So
that would have been
I like the more we play terrain, the more I ever play, the more I just think terrain is just so vital. And again, I don't think necessarily as a community we've fully established what the answer may be. But you know, like you've got the variance between it's arguably some of the better painted terrain you're ever going to see in the world.
What, Warhammer World?
You don't think so?
When you compare it to things like the
LGT.
LGT.
Well, yeah, that's my comparison. But like, and question to everyone listening on the show, watching on Facebook.
No, I would say the painting at Aces one was better than Warhammer World.
All right, cool.
It
all right. So like, obviously, the dream is well painted, functional terrain. But the question is for everyone: would you prefer to have more? Would you prefer to have? You can only have one of two: functional terrain or well painted terrain. Tom,
functional.
Nikos?
At a tournament, definitely functional.
At a tournament is all in a gaming setting, competitive
functional.
gaming, functional. I choose functional also. Ghost Valley chooses functional, which I think is exciting. Hi Karma, even though just signing in to distract from the anxiety of not having my army ready for Sanctuary Comp on Saturday.
Ooh.
You'll be fine. We've got functional. John says Darren from Twisted Dice and Ace work tirelessly to do functional and well painted terrain, so big shout out to them. Even in Twitch Resiliath, every time I plan to buy a bunch of terrain, I end up buying new units instead. Maybe Warhammer World are the same. That's fair. Zaradin says functional. Zyka says functional. So it seems to be the community is maybe not desperate. That's not. I don't think desperate's the right word, but definitely prioritizing, and that seems to be the key. Now, I mean the fury that came about the LGT with their terrain, like. You know, it's fair. I was even sat down with a lovely group from America today, and the wife of one of the people I was talking to was just like, "Oh, is that where there was like a shoe?" And I was like, "Well, even she heard of it." But I was like, "Well, you know, it was fair." So, Moon Tyrant says, "I have to say painted, but it depends on the ticket," which I think is fair. But he is a Tyrannid player, so.
Dudade makes a good point.
Yeah. What's his point?
So Dudade would prefer to have no terrain because it's good practice for Warhammer World events.
I mean, he's not wrong. All right, okay. So is it the heat? We talked about the boards and the terrain. Organisation seemed great to me. Yeah, wasn't an issue. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. That's good. It's a fair review. Food was good-ish. Ticket price is one of the most expensive tickets you're going to buy.
Yeah, what is it like?
£70.
£70.
Yeah.
You do get entry into the miniatures hall as well on top for free, which is quite nice.
If you ever get to
if you have time to do it. I had plenty of time, but I've seen it before, so
we'll talk about that. All right, so I think that's everything that we've said. So Nick, what did you take this weekend?
So I took my Imperial Knights and then a small detachment of Dark Angels.
Okay.
So my Imperial Knights, I had 3 of the same knight. So they were, I think it's the Crusader. So it's the one with, so all of them had an Avenger Gatling cannon and a rapid fire battle cannon. All of them had a heavy flamer, 2 stubbers.
Yeah.
And then 2 of them had the Iron Storm rocket pod. So that's the D6 shots can target something that you can't see.
Cool.
And they
Strength
were
8
way
minus
more,
2 D6?
that's strength 5 minus 1, 2 damage.
Okay.
So it was much more, they were actually quite useful.
Okay.
I found. Because they're really long range as well. And then my small Dark Angels detachment, which whenever I told my opponent about it, they went, okay. Because I basically had a lieutenant, a dreadnought with 2 twin autocannons, and then 2 units of 2 company veterans. So like 2 squads of 2 Marines. I was like, why don't you just take guard? And I was like, oh, I didn't have any guard.
And also you didn't want to be
That guy, yeah.
Right, okay,
So
good.
that little detachment just gave me a extra command point, and the dreadnought could stand still and reroll 1s to hit, and then the lieutenant was there behind him to give him reroll 1s to wound as well.
All right.
And my dreadnought didn't die all weekend and just sat in a corner every game shooting every turn, and it was awesome. Killed loads of things.
What, that little dreadnought? The little dreadnought?
The little dreadnought just sat in the corner, pew, pew, pew,
Yeah.
killing stuff.
Good.
How many points was the Dreadnought out of interest?
Sorry? How many points for the
How many
dreadnought?
points was the Dreadnought?
He was about 130 something.
Okay, so cheaper than a Hellring.
Yes.
And better than the Hellring, Tom, because they suck.
Lies!
All right. Cool. I took Harlequins.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a stress. I realised, I was like, oh, it's this weekend.
Oh.
So I built it Tuesday.
Yeah.
I painted it. That's strong for what happened. Thursday and Friday. I had to rush to get it done. I will say it's the least painted army I've ever put on the table. An embarrassment. The TO came over to me and went, really scratching that bare minimum there, Rob. And I was like, this is a joke. And I deserve to never have been allowed to play with it. If I'm honest, it did have 3 colours. That's all it had. But I am painting and playing the army for the next year. It's all, I built it completely breakable. So like all of the bikes break apart and stuff, so I can paint it a little bit more. So I'm hoping to make it look loads better the next time it gets a run out.
Yeah.
Mate, if my shitty army can make it on the stream, yours can make it in the fucking event. Like,
Tom, it was pretty basic.
you should see. You saw my Channing Spears, bro.
Yeah. I mean, they also sucked. But I just want to apologise to my opponents now, and I don't want to run away from it. You know, anyone who's just like, I saw your army. It was like, you know, the last time I went to the Heat, everyone was like, oh, your army looks really nice. I was like, oh, thanks. You know, this time that I did not get that.
No comments.
No comments. Just like that's yellow. I was like, you're right. It's very yellow. Dionysus says it smelled hilariously fresh.
Hashtag wet on the table.
Yeah.
Hashtag wet on the table.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Hi, Nightman. Hi, everyone. So I took 2 Shadow Seers.
Yep.
Those guys are badasses in all ways. And they had identical psychic powers. And the hallucinogen grenade launchers, which became such an issue over the tournament. I'd be like, so I'm going to find my hallucinogen grenade launcher. They were like, it's a grenade. I was like, it's not a grenade. It's a grenade launcher. It's 18 inches.
Right, okay.
And they were like, can you show me? And I was like, I'm so sorry. Because it don't make sense, right? But anyway, that thing's pretty cool. And then I took the Solitaire. MVP, obviously. I think he's always going to be the MVP. Then I took a troop with... they're not called fusion pistols. They are called...
Sure they are called fusion pistols.
They're not called fusion pistols at all. I kept calling them fusion pistols all weekend, and I was like, they're not called this at all.
Fusion blaster.
No, they're pistols as well. They are. I took a unit of 5 of them anyway, and they had caresses. So unit of 5 troop with caresses and fusion pistols. No, I was right. Yeah, fusion pistols. And the caresses sucked, so they're going off. A unit with pure caresses, 5 of them. They went off. They're going. More fusion pistols. And then another unit with just blades and splinter pistols, and again, they're just being turned into fusion pistols. 3-star weavers, and then a unit of 6 bikes with Zephyr glaives and haywire cannons, and then another unit of 6 bikes with the same loadout, a unit of 3 bikes with the same loadout. And that was the whole list. So nothing fancy.
Not a lot of models. Well,
not a lot of models at all, actually. I felt very naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, like someone killed one thing, I was like, have I got anything left? But it was pretty fun. So, Nick, how did you play first?
I just wanted to give Dionysus a shout out, because obviously I went because of the free ticket that you donated to us.
Yes.
So thanks, Dionysus.
Also, we hung out with him all weekend, and he's funny, engaging, and pretty good at Warhammer, so big shout out.
Yeah, I really, really liked it.
It's also it's also really awkward, when we meet people from the show or something, because obviously we have to be the honest wargamer, so it's nice being able to say that instead of having met him and fucking he dragged. Time just dragged. He was a really cool dude. So
yeah, definitely really liked Dick.
Yeah, can he dance? We didn't get to find out if he could dance, did we?
No, he was good about that. Like, he really wanted to go out and dance.
Well, did he not come out?
Well, we had cheeky Nando's instead.
Oh, classic cheeky Nando's.
Overcosted.
All right, so before we go into this, I think there was 18 Imperial Knight armies.
Was there in total?
I think, and then I think that there were several soup armies which included an Imperial Knight. Yeah. So I was very proud of the very obvious prediction that I'd made for the tournament. I was like, can't wait. These fusion pistols and also these haywire cannons are going to smash up these knights. Tom, how many armies did you think I played with Imperial Knights in?
Well, you definitely played one that didn't have any Imperial Knights in, so I'm going to say 4.
Okay, it was 0.
Oh.
I just dodged and weaved. The thing that I wanted, to fight.
By dodged and weaved, you mean you ended up at that end of a tournament where none of the knight armies were?
Yes, potentially. Potentially.
Sorry, that was rough. I had to go there.
That's fair, though. That's fair. All right, Nick. So, how did your first game go?
So my first game was against a guy called Chris. Yeah. So he was one of the guys who was on the top table for the last game. So I think he lost his last game to come. Yeah. Could have won. Well, could have gone for 5 wins, but he didn't. So he had a Nova-esque list.
Ah, yes.
So he had an Imperial Guard, the classic Imperial Guard brigade, but his fast attack were 3 Sentinels, no Hellhounds. And then he had the Knight Castellan with the 4 vulnerable save. And then instead of Smash Captains, he had 3 Custode Captains on bikes. So we were playing, I can't remember what the mission was. It was the one with 4 objectives, I think. So it's 4 objectives to capture. So I ended up going first, which was decent for me. So my plan for this was to ignore. I was really pleased with how my plan, and it almost worked because I almost won this game. It went really, really close to the end. So my plan was, because I was going first, I was going to shoot all of the Imperial Guard first turn. I was going to ignore the bikes, ignore the Castellan, and just try and remove as many of the guard blobs as possible. But what I also did was try to bait out his command points. So with my first knight, I was like, right, Gatling cannon on that squad, missology there, stubbers there, blah, 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 and then battle cannon on your Castellan. So as soon as I'd done that, he went, right, 3 command points, boost the invulnerable by 1.
Yeah.
But then my plan was, as soon as he'd done that, ignore it for the rest of the phase. So just get him to waste command points on his Castellan when I'm not intending to shoot it.
That's really clever. Thanks for subscribing, Old Boy Phil. You're the best.
You're the best, Old Boy Phil.
You've got loads of BDE.
Yeah. So then my other 2 knights shot a load of his infantry. So that was my first turn, just shooting as many infantry as I can. I think I killed 4 of his squads. 2 of them were down to a couple of guys, and I killed a couple of mortar guys. And then he killed half of a knight, and then advanced his shield captains up. So I had 2 knights on one side, 1 knight on the other. So then in my second turn, I launched my second dastardly plan. So I was playing House Taranis, or Tyrannus, can't remember. That's it. So they've got a 6-up DPR.
Yeah. Damage prevention roll.
Damage prevention roll. And then they've also got I think it's for everyone though, a strategy where you can explode your knight on 4+.
Yeah.
So we had 3 shield captains and his Castellan on one side facing off against one of my knights. So I moved that up as close as I could to the shield captains and the Castellan, and shot at him, and then charged one of those shield captains to try and fight it. Killed that one down to like 2 wounds, and then shot more of his infantry off. So he barely had any infantry left at this point. So I put that knight against his shield captains as bait. And he took the bait, so he charged 2 of them in, ran away 1, and then charged his Castellan in, and killed it in combat. And then I used 2 command points to make it explode on a 4+. It didn't explode, but then I used a command point to re-roll it, so it did explode. And then it did 6 mortal wounds to 2 of his captains, killed another captain, and then did another couple of mortal wounds to the Castellan. So that was, and then in my next turn after that, my Dreadnought was the hero, managed to kill another shield captain.
Nice.
And then I killed another one with something else as well. Because I knew, because 2 of his shield captains had 3+ invulnerable saves. So unless I can like shoot an entire knight at him and get enough weight of dice through to fail enough 3+ saves, I knew I needed, if I could get him down with mortal wounds, which goes straight through his invulnerable save, then I can try and finish him off with other things. So that plan worked out well. The bait and charge in and explode the knight on him to get mortal wounds, because it was one of my only access to mortal wounds, the explosion. Ended up killing all the shield captains, killing more infantry, and then it came down to a crunch turn where he had his Castellan about half wounds. I had 2 knights on a couple of wounds left, and I knew it was basically if I killed his knight in that turn, I'd have won the game. But I shot it a bit, charged in. He overwatched me with his what's the big cannon called?
Harpoon.
Not the harpoon, the
Plasma incinerator?
the other one.
The Inferno cannon?
The
Anyway.
twin siegebreaker cannon.
The siegebreaker cannon, yeah.
Yes.
We have so many guns, we could just keep asking.
So he overwatched me with a siegebreaker cannon, rolled 6 shots, rolled 3 6s, and just melted one of the knights on Overwatch.
Oh wow.
The other guy charged in and did a few, but then he killed me the next turn. It was game over at that point.
Yeah.
But I was pleased that I managed to get it
So close.
that far with my list.
He did really well, right?
Yeah. But what I don't know if it was necessarily on purpose, but like after the game, he said, "Oh, did you realise that a super heavy detachment with 3 knights gives you 6 command points, not 3?" Because I thought it was just 3, so I had 7 for the game. But what I should have done is had 10 for the game. So in that crunch turn, I could have had 3 extra command points to like boost my iron shields or fire at the chop bracket.
Oh wow.
And all this other stuff, which could have swung the game. But I was still pleased with getting.
Just
it
goes
that
to
far.
show practice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stick with the same army,
FAQ.
and get better. Yes.
Yeah,
It's in the
that's
FAQ.
right, Dino says.
Volcano cannon. My first game was against a lovely chap called Lee Evans.
Lee Evans.
Lee Evans. He had Death Guard. He was a babe. We had just a cracking laugh. He had Death Guard, like I said. He had 3 Playburst crawlers. He had like 2 characters that have crazy good flamers. Crazy good, where you roll for the strength.
What are they? Sorry.
2 Death Guard characters where you roll for the strength of the
okay.
flamers. Can't remember which ones specifically they are, but they were fantastic. Most of his army had flamers, so Harlequins don't overly love charging flamers because there's about 8 of them. So that was fun, and we had a cracking time. Like the Solitaire tried to go in and kick I set up the Solitaire to go into the Demon Prince.
Yeah.
The Solitaire obviously is rocking the suit of knives, so if I go into the Demon Prince and I get off 2 psychic powers, I also activate a stratagem. That means it's -3 to hit. So the Demon Prince with his, he had claws, so with his 8 attacks, would have been doing 2/3 of those would have been bullet faces telling me foul, blight, spawn. They were foul. They were amazing, by the way. But I got none of the psychic powers off. So woe is me. And then the Solitaire tried to punch his Demon Prince. The Demon Prince was like, "You tiny idiot!" And I just smoked him. And I was like, "Oh, Solitaire, I had all my hopes and dreams." The bikes had loads of options though. Oh, he also had 2 Mephitic Mephitic Blight Haulers. So there were 5 vehicles in his army. So the bikes just went through them like hot butter. But we were laughing because Nurgle's probably the best army to take that on because obviously he's got the discussion resilience as well, and the ward save didn't count. But he was just a chill dude, real fun. We had a great laugh. Like I said to him, I was like, "This is just a great start to the weekend. Thank you." Like I'm like, I love it when your first game is just someone cool. You both rolling dice. It's just it was a good one. I was like, sweet, this is going to be a great tournament. That's
nice.
what I said.
Yeah.
So
like
you won
so
the
much
game.
hope.
Yeah, I won the game.
The first game.
Nicely done, man. Good job.
Yeah, he had a solid army. It was good. He was struggling so much to hit me because there's so much -1 to hit across the board. And also the playburst crawlers, he kind of had to get them close. The Zephyr, but punching through the armor was tough on lots of the models. The caresses just suck in close combat. So
What's their bonus again?
You're stroking it. It's not
+1 strength, +1 strength, -1 AP does D3 damage, and 4 attacks each on the guys. But like I said, there were just so many flamers around. He kind of picked a unit. Was just like, fuck those guys now. So any of the guys that were out, and also the Inferno Pistol Squad just melted a vehicle on their own. They were just like, this is dead now. Those guys are just brilliant. Yeah, the time winning Ron Howard voice. It wasn't.
You're strength 3 base, right?
Pardon me? Yeah, strength 3 base.
You're strength 3, so you'd be strength 4, so you still wouldn't even Blight Haulers on 6s.
Yeah, well, I wasn't trying to hit the Blight Haulers with I was just trying to fight his Warlord. It's just who was at the back of the board.
So you would have on 5s then.
Yeah, but we had a cracky time. He was a lovely bloke. Really enjoyed myself. Also, I had no practice games, so I was like, these move, which is exactly not what I've been advising on the show. But I'd had to build the army that week, so now I feel a lot more settled. Next time I go to tournament, the next games I play, I'm going to be a lot more comfortable and confident with my army. So it's good. Your second game
is your practice.
So my second game was against a chap called Tom, I think his name was. He also allowed me to call him Shark.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because he had an army of space sharks.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was a rather quick game for me.
I mean, he's a nice man.
Yeah. He was really, really nice guy.
But no, don't. That's code. I'll say it even if Nikos won't. But he makes me feel uncomfortable.
Slightly.
In the nicest way.
Slightly uncomfortable.
In the nicest way. Some people are just weird.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably won't watch the show. He probably won't watch the show because I gave him an honest-wargamer dice at the end and I said, we do a Twitch stream and a podcast, check us out. He's like, no, I probably won't because I work 80 hours a week. And I was like, don't work 80 hours a week.
Not on his social skills, that's what he doesn't work on. He's a lovely man.
Yeah,
he's a lovely man. But sometimes
he even took a picture of me later with his shark hat on. That he had.
Yeah, he's a lovely man. He just has got no filter, zero filter. Huh? Same. Yeah, same. I guess the same for me. Yeah. Anyway,
so it was a rather quick game. It was Scorched Earth, I think it was this mission. And basically, I got the first turn. He had I think it was a Marine Brigade. I think he had that was Ultramarines, but they were space sharks. He had 3 big 4-year-old tanks. Can't remember the call. The one with the big plasma guns on. They're all the same look, but one's got Sicaran. Yes, he had 3 of them.
Incinerators, maybe.
So one was a big plasma gun one. One was like a anti-infantry one. And one was like a I can't remember what it was. But then, so I went first, and he had lots of heavy support Devastator squads. So I just went first, and I removed as many anti-tank stuff as I could. Like I killed all the missile launchers, I killed something else, and then one move that I did that I don't think he was necessarily expecting. It was an easy way for me to stop one of the tanks shooting. So a mistake that he definitely made was he just deployed a unit of scouts in the middle of the table, and then he had one of his big tanks behind it. So I ignored that tank for my shooting because I knew I could shut it down from combat. Because basically I moved one of my knights up to the middle, shot a load of its stuff, but then I just charged the scout squad because it was like 2 inches away from me. And then I used my pile in and consolidate just to get within 1 inch of the tank. So he left me that easy an easy way of shutting down that tank shooting for a turn by just easy charging the scouts, pile in, consolidate to get within 1 inch.
Nice.
Good old Age of Sigmar trick there.
Good old
pile
trick.
in and consolidate move. Well, actually, you can't consolidate an age Sigma.
Can't consolidate. Although I did pile in 3 inches today and then had 3-inch range on my weapons, and I was like, oh, I missed weapon ranges.
Ooh.
Yeah. Tiny King, thanks for subscribing for 3 months in a row. You're a super babe and you probably got massive BDE.
Massive.
Good job.
So yeah, it was a quick game.
Yeah.
I just shot him off the board with all 3 knights.
Did you
Lots
want it
of
to be
power
quick, Nick?
armor.
It sounded like you wanted it to be quick.
I was playing quite quick because it was lunch next. So
All
I
right,
wanted to get away for lunch.
It was
didn't I?
after lunch, Nick.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, yeah. I know. Actually, I needed to go home to get my phone, so I wanted to finish the game quickly. So
there's going to be
get my phone.
There's going to be a running theme I want you all to know. So one of the things I've been reading about with competitive sports, Tom, this might be something you can weigh in on, is the idea of mental energy and how much focus to apply in game, and how easy it is to go through easy rounds of big tournaments so that you can get to the tougher challenges with more mental energy. Tom, do you ever think about that?
I do have to often think about tilting and what have you, because I do play a lot of games. So when I was in Croatia, I played 13 games. Mm-hmm. So I was absolutely exhausted, and I had a pretty bad round against the Italians where I didn't play well at all. And going into the next round against the Polish, they're one of the best teams in the world. Like it was definitely factoring in to how I wanted to play, whether or not I would be able to actually think clearly. Because I got to a point where I was really, really worried about letting my team down. I don't know how this is linking in with what you want to say, so maybe I can give more an insight when I know that. But it's definitely something you have to factor in.
But so one of the things that we're going to talk about with especially, or I'm going to talk about, especially with regards to Nikos in his weekend, was how sensationally relaxed Nikos looked all weekend, and how every time I would be playing a game, I'd see Nikos about 45 minutes later after deployment just being like, just going to get a cup of tea. Does anyone want one? I've fired all my guns and they're dead now. Did you had a tough time, Nick? I mean, not overly.
No,
I've just
really.
kind of shot all my guns. Well, that's a recurring theme, right?
Yeah.
Finish your game with an hour and a half left.
That was over in an hour.
Oh, it was over an hour, so hour and a half left. So my second game, I played Death Watch, and I played Kevin from WS10. Kevin was a lovely fella. Listen to the show. Me and Kevin had a great game up until a moment. And this has got nothing to do with Kevin and everything to do with me. And it's going to be one of the subjects we talk about later. Mm-hmm. So first turn, I thought I did quite well. I nuked his Redemptor Dreadnought. It took 18 mortal wounds from the bikes. In his first turn, he had the Sicaran battle tank from Forge World, which ignores minuses to hit against something with the fly keyword. So just with its main gun. And it's kind of like a really ramped up auto cannon. So that was amazing. And he shot with that, and he had Death Watch, so he had all sorts of different units. He had a unit of nearly 10 Terminators. He had another kind of mixed squad. I remember he had a mixed squad with like a bike, a Terminator, a bunch of dudes in, and I had a unit of bikes. And after I shot the Redemptor, I was just like, I'm going to fire these into them. I think it was the unit of 3 bikes. I was like, I'm going to fire these into them, the Haywire guns, just to see sort of like where this goes, sort of thing. Like, is shooting at power armor going to be rubbish? It's got the -1, so because it's strength 4, -1 damage. So let's have a look. Maybe it's enough weight of dice if I roll okay. Hit on 3s, wound on 4s. And yeah, it did okay. So I did that, and it went off really well. Anyway, in his first turn, he shot. I think he took out 2 units of bikes. No, not 2 units of bikes. 2 bikes off 2 different units, maybe 3 bikes. But enough that I had a big unit of 6 bikes left. I felt really comfortable. The other 2 units were fine. All my characters were good, and we had a big unit of Inceptors as well. So 4 Inceptors, 10 Terminators, a bunch of Intercessors. So like a couple of the frag cannons, but not loads of the frag cannons. So it definitely wasn't like a Death Watch list at all. And like he talked about, and he also had a Redemptor in. And Kevin, if you listen, I definitely think a Redemptor sucks ass. And Nikos?
I've not really played with one or against them enough to really know.
And then Tom?
It's horrible. I hate it.
Yeah, same. But I don't think he does. Yeah. So like, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to point at is that I think he bought a list that was his and his alone.
Yeah.
So I think that was cool.
He's not copying a net list.
No. And Kevin was lovely. We had a nice game. But in my second turn, so I went first. He went my second turn, so I went first to turn 2. I moved my Fusion Pistol Starweaver up right next to the Inceptors. So he had a unit of 4 of them, I think, because that was the most mobile part of his army, and I just wanted them dead.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if I kill them, then everything's on foot. He deep struck the Terminators into his own deployment, and then I made them -1 to hit. I made the Solitaire -1 to hit, and the Solitaire had blitzed, and he was about to charge in. So I was like, oh, the Solitaire's going to make them punch themselves.
I saw that combat. I was there for that combat. It seemed to work pretty well.
Yeah, it worked really well. It was really fun. And then Kev's like, so I finished my movement phase, and then Kev's like, oh, by the way, I've got a stratagem that for Deathwatch that because you're older, if you end up within 12 inches of one of my units, I can shoot at you as if it were the shooting phase. Now, I was near his null-zoned librarian, but I was okay with that because my plan was I was going to shoot his unit of Inceptors. I was going to charge into the unit of Intercessors in front of me. I knew I would be, but I hadn't yet done my shooting phase where I was going to shoot the Sikaran battle tank. So I was like, well, these guys plus the other bikers are going to rinse through the Sikaran battle tank. Easy. No dramas, which is going to be cool. I'm going to charge in. I'm going to lock some stuff up. The Terminators are going to die, and I don't think there's much left for him, like, on the board, really. There's some bits, but all his mobility's gone. All of his long range is gone. That unit of bikes can just drop out if it doesn't die in the next turn. And I was just fighting Marines, Intercessors. Intercessors. I was like, they're going to have 1 attack each. There's nothing that scary. 2 attacks each, yeah. But I'm not that scared. Yeah. And then, so he said, I've got this stratagem. And I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, so I can fire as if it were the shooting phase. I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, and these ignore modifiers to hit. And I was like, okay. And then, so in my movement phase, I lost a unit of 6 bikes, which was 308 points in my movement phase.
Yeah, that always hurts when it's in your own turn.
In my own turn. And it's for being within 12 inches of his unit. Now, I didn't know that he could do that. What I'm definitely not saying is that Kevin gotcha'd me. If anything, I gotcha'd myself. But, that said, I didn't know he could do it. And I don't think it's probably possible to know. Because afterwards, me and him and Dionysus were having a big old chat. And I was like, how can you know that that's something you can do?
I think that, because it was so specific, Eldar, flyers, and then,
within 12 inches.
And that particular tank that can ignore the modifiers. It's a very specific situation. I think you can only really know if you troll through every codex and every stratagem and learn it all,
which I think is impossible,
or just through experience. So know now,
but it's too time consuming.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the conversation we're going to have after. So I'm just going to kind of rifle through the game now. Yeah. I've explained it, but we're at the end after we've talked about all the games. It's a conversation we're coming back to because I think we came up with some answers for what to do. But like me and Kev spoke, and then so I lost a 300-point unit in my own turn. And then, obviously, I was like, so I shot the unit that I planned to shoot, but now that tank's alive, and then the tank shot another unit of bikers pretty much off the board, not fully, but then I was like, I don't have loads left now. Although the Solitaire made the Terminators kill most of themselves, which was quite funny, and then died. Got him! And if you guys don't know how that works, any 1s to hit cause a mortal wound. Any minuses obviously increase those 1s to hit. So with -3, 2/3 are going to be doing mortal wounds back, which is quite fun.
Yeah, and some of them had power fists and thunder hammers.
Yeah,
so that's an extra.
An extra -1. So it was like 1s to 5. So I think he killed. 8 of his own Terminators, or maybe 6 of his own Terminators in close combat, and it was just quite fun. But then I lost the bikes. I lost another unit of bikes, and I was just like, "Well, this is a loss." So it did feel not great. Kevin was great. I had a great time with him, and we had a long chat afterwards. We talked about. I didn't feel like he did anything bad at all. I was kind of like, maybe I was asking myself, should you have told me? I was like, it's the movement phase. You just say, by the way, you're there, so now I'm going to be able to use this stratagem. Like, okay, well, I'm moving back. But then that's, at what point is it a competitive game and I've made a mistake?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I'll take this all on me because I think that's fair. Because some people are not going to be nice like him. And I need to learn to play against people who are never going to give you the information that you need. Then we'll talk about this later anyway.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later, but he was great is what I want to get at. I don't think he did anything bad there, in my opinion. And then I just lost because I felt I was really well placed till then, and I was going to win it, and then I don't have many models. It's the answer.
Once you use a big like that. Once you lose a big unit like that. For your
yes, or especially when it was like, because you're trading off with that army.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I definitely learned. I didn't even really get into that till day 2. I feel like it's such an evasion, standing off, not committing turn 1, turn 2, just making the most of that -1 to be hit at distance sort of thing. So Vit Safa, I think, has just subscribed on Patreon, so I want to say thanks. Anyway, that was my game. Kev was great. Deathwatch beat me. And we're going to talk about that later and maybe ways that people can deal with that.
I know how I feel, bro.
What do you think, Tom?
Oh, well, I'll get more into it when we do the other thing, because I'm going to go into a little bit of detail. But
all right, man.
I just know how it feels to lose to Deathwatch because you have no idea what's going on.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
They've got a lot of rules, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the thing with Deathwatch. They're the trickiest, least common army in the game.
Dionysus, but did you actually lose when you lost that unit, or did you mentally destroy yourself? I don't think that's what happened, because I was there with 6 haywire cannons at 66 shots, hitting on 3s, and then a 4s are a mortal wound, and a 6s are D3 mortal wounds. I was very confident I was going to nuke that tank pretty reliably, and I did have another unit that did do 3 or 4 mortal wounds to it as well on top. That was somewhere else, and they were meant to finish it off if I didn't do it. But then with that unit dead, which was my anti-vehicle unit, he then shot in his second turn my other anti-vehicle unit with his anti-flying anti-vehicle unit. So it's like he got basically a free round of shooting. So he had, by his second turn, he'd had 3 turns with the perfect. I don't say it's the perfect.
And without the modifiers as well.
Without the modifiers.
I was saying after the podcast last week, every time you lose a model, it just stings. So if you're losing 6, that's a big portion of your army. So I don't think it's necessarily.
No, but anyway. So that ended up as a big loss for me, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth because I didn't lose the game because I thought I played particularly badly. It was literally I didn't know a thing.
Yeah.
And I was kicking myself. I was just like, one thing you didn't know, that made a huge difference. Yeah. So I want to try and fix that in the future, Nick, if I can. Yeah, maybe I should just be less fucking stupid. That's a good tactic, right, Tom?
It's a good start.
Well, you didn't know you were being stupid.
Wait, so I was ignorantly stupid, which isn't even better.
I'm a good example of being stupid and still doing okay. So, I mean, stupidity can get you a decent distance.
Good. So, Nick, your third game.
My third game was against, what was his name? His name was Maurizio, I think that's right. So he's one of the Italian guys who was there.
I also played an Italian guy next.
I played 2 Italians.
Did you play my Italian guy?
I didn't play your Italian, thank fuck, no.
Thank fuck. Go on.
Probably still be playing him if I did.
Rob,
so I played.
No one played your Italian.
No.
It wasn't a game.
So my game was against Maurizio, and he had Eldar. It wasn't no, he did have Yunari Eldar. So he didn't speak that much English, but we managed to get through the game. Had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing Maurizio. He's a good competitive game.
He had Yunari.
So he had Yunari. So he had Yvrain, and then 8 Yunari Reapers, and then he had a normal unit, a normal Eldar 8-man Reaper squad as well. 2 Wave Serpents. He had some Rangers. He had like a Farseer on a jet bike and a Warlock. I think that was, and yeah, that was about it. Pretty standard Eldar army. Shining Spears as well. Big unit Shining Spears. Mm-hmm. Again, I went first.
Yeah, nice.
Again.
Good.
But I didn't actually have a great first turn. I basically moved everything up and I focused fired. Again, I did the similar to what I did in the first game where I baited out rotate Iron Shield. I baited out the minus one to hit. What's it called? Lightning fast reflexes. Yeah. So my first night shot, I spread my shots around. So battle cannon on the Wave Serpent, a Gatling cannon on his Reapers in the tower, or some Reapers somewhere. No, his Reapers were in the Wave Serpent. No, actually, sorry. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I didn't bait out the -1 on the first turn. I just focused everything on one wave serpent to try and make it explode. And I got it down to 1 wound. So I didn't get first blood. Didn't get first blood, and it survived on a wound. But then in his next turn, he got all his Reapers out. He didn't manage to kill he killed a unit of veterans that I had with some snipers.
Yeah.
So he got his first blood. Then in my next turn, I baited out the -1 to hit on one of the Reapers, and then I switched targets and killed the other Reapers.
He must have been so pissed.
Well, but basically, I think I killed all his Reapers.
Did
in
he say
turn
for Napoli?
2 or no? I think I killed all his Reapers by turn 2 or 3, and at that point he just went, "Game finish, game finish, game finish,
Game finish.
game finish,
Game finish.
game finish."
Big Mama's wedding.
Because basically, I just killed everything that he could. Killed all of his anti-tank stuff essentially, and all his double shooting Reapers. And then the game just descended into me chasing him around. So his China Spears came down, and he got the +2 to charge, reroll charge thing off on them. I think it's a spell or a stratagem.
+2 to charge is a Beal Town strategy.
Okay, yeah, so it's a stratagem. So he charged into one of my knights, but then this is when I upset him again. So he charged into my knights, killed it, consolidated, and then I used the House Tyrannus stratagem, so on a 4+ to get back up again.
Yeah.
So he put a lot of investment into killing this knight, which just stood up again. And then for my turn, I had 3 knights again, and I used 1 command point to fire it on the top bracket again. But he used his, so they were Yunari, so he used his Yunari, because he killed something, to move them into the 2nd floor of the ruin. So then when this knight was up, shot him a bit, he had a few left in the ruin, and then I used a really obscure knight stratagem called Insane Reach or something like that.
Yeah.
So
grab stuff off the top of buildings.
Well, it means you can fight something that's within 2 inches of the edge, but within 6 inches vertically of the edge of a ruin.
Yeah.
So he thought he was safe from my knight in combat because he was on the 2nd floor of the building. But then, so the knight that he killed in his last turn charged him down and killed them all in combat in the building.
Did you use Machine Spirit Resurgent? Did you full?
Yes, it goes full profile. I'd used it in shooting and combat on the same night that he killed in his previous turn.
You use it at the start. You use it at the start of the turn, and it works for the rest of the turn.
Oh, does it? I thought it was just per phase.
No, it works.
Look at you.
I'm not the only one. Who
Wasting. I was just
You're
wasting command points
there.
just
You're printing command points.
We're both burning command points.
That sounds fun. So a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. So he tried to sneak a draw because he was like, it was the one where your home one was worth 1 to you, but 4 to your opponent, and the 2 wide ones are worth 2. So he was sort of sweeping round the board away from my knights around one side to my one to try and sneak it with a character, and then walk, because he was going second, and then walk onto one of the side ones with 2 characters to try and draw it. But I saw that come in a couple of turns ahead, and I managed to basically kill his wave serpent that was going around the side, and then kill all his characters that were hanging about.
Yeah, it is a full turn, by the way. I just double checked.
Yeah, so it was. I enjoyed that game. It was a good tactical game, but it was nice to crush the Eldar.
Crush the Eldar
and the Dark Reapers. I enjoyed killing Dark Reapers.
Good.
Because Gatling cannons are fantastic for that. Because it's so many shots. You're hitting on 3s or 4s or 5s as the use of stratagem, but you've got so many shots, and you're wounding on 2s, AP 2. So even if they're in cover, they're saving on 4s. So if you put enough into them, they die.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it seems like a really solid answer. Very much so. How much time did you have left at the end of that game?
That went almost to time. I think I had like half an hour in that game.
Only half an hour.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So I had enough chance to walk around, see some other games.
Yeah,
I come to see your game, Rob.
You did come to see my game.
You were still
going. Come to see my game.
You were still going.
Yeah, I think everyone wants to hear about the 3rd game I had.
Yeah.
So I also played an Italian who spoke. If I was to write his CV for a job, one of his other skills would not be English.
No.
Yeah. Or passable English.
From what I observed, smiling wouldn't be on there either. He didn't look like he smiled all game.
So I played an Italian man whose name eludes me because I've tried to blank out his existence. I'm going to try and be as constructive with this information as I can do, but I think some of it is fair. So Nick was there as witness at some moments.
Mhm.
He was so obviously he's like, no good English, and I was like, okay, that's okay. And I wanted to work really hard because I like people being in the hobby. Go on.
So the guy I played didn't speak good English. So what I did at the start of that game, I've got like poker chips in my dice box for like objectives and things like that, and I also have like little post-it notes in there. So what I did was, because I split fire quite a lot with my knights, and I thought the English barrier would be difficult to manage. So what I did was, I wrote the name of each gun and stuck it to different poker chips. So as I was doing my targets, I put battle cannon poker chip there, Gatling cannon poker chip there.
Yeah.
So it was clear to him where to put my fire and what was shooting.
Oh, that's
what.
nice of you.
It's just like a little tool to help him. So because I didn't want any confusion happening. So I just tried to make it
I
easy.
tried really hard. Like when we got into it, he wanted to explain to me what his army did. He was playing an orc army. He had 180 boys. He had a unit of 10 tank busters. He had 4 custom mega cannons. 3 weird knobs. A special Forge World character that did something. He was like, you got this guy? I was like, sure. Like, whatever, man. That's fine. Let's go. So cool, big horde army. And then I explained to him what my army did. I explained to him that the bikes were really good against vehicles. He's like, I've got no vehicles. And then I was like, do the mech guns have the vehicle? I was like, what about the mech guns? He was like, no, they don't have, they're not vehicles. I mean, he didn't say it like that. He went, no vehicle. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, they are really fucked up war scrolls. And like, I should know. So I was like, yeah, probably. Fuck it. Like, maybe they don't. Anyway, we got to it. We started to deploy. And he was a very methodical deploy. I can't be asked to fucking beat around the bush. He was slow as shit. Yeah. It took 20 minutes. Like, I was really nice. I tried really hard to defeat the language barrier. Just be like, look, let's go. I wasn't interested about winning the heat or coming or doing well at the heat because I don't care. I just wanted to play games with Warhammer. So I was like really up for helping him. And we started to deploy and put stuff down and explain my army as well as I could, as much as I could. And explain the minuses to hit thing, all of that jazz. Anyway, he just took forever to fucking put his models down. Like, he wouldn't pick up 2 orc boys and put them down. There were no movement trays. It would be one, and then the other. And do you know how I know it was going to go bad? Because he just turned up with all of his models stacked up on a tray. They weren't like split up into that's 30 boys, and that's 30 boys, and that's 30 boys. It was just them all heaped on top of each other, and he was just picking them off that tray. Wow. And I was like, okay. So after the 40-minute deployment phase, yeah. I mean, and there are some other things. Again, this is another thing that we're going to talk about at the end of the show. You know, like, you know, in 40k, like putting the objectives down, that takes up time.
Yeah.
Rolling to see which map it is, that takes time. There's a bunch of stuff which takes time, right? I was like, okay. And then he went first. Yeah? I was like, cool. And he basically just moved, which took forever. And at this point, I think there's
movement trays.
No movement trays. No movement trays. He decided not to jump. Anyway, then there was, I don't know, like an hour and 10 minutes left on the clock. Maybe not even that.
Yeah.
I think it was about an hour. So I took my turn. No, it was about an hour and 10 minutes left on the clock. So I took my turn, went forward. Well, I didn't even go forward because I just shot at some of his boys, specifically the tank busters, because I just wanted to get rid of them. And sent the solitaire in, made a unit -2, made a units -1 to hit, made the solitaire -1 to hit, sent him in, because Harlequins can just like move through models if they're not there. Like just charged a ton of models. Like it was loads of pistol shots, but I didn't take any. I think I took like 1 wound. And went into his weird boy. And then his orc boy unit did 19 mortal wounds to itself, attacking me. Because I explained, I'm like, look, you have to attack yourself, and I explained that to him. And also, when he was rolling his custom mega cannons, he took a mortal wound and he took off a grot gunner, and I was like, no, it goes on the model, and he was like, no, and we had that 5-minute conversation. I was like, it definitely does that. And he got his book out, but it was in Italian, yeah. So I was like, okay, it definitely does that. It doesn't do the grot. The grot is.
So did he point at the book going, yeah.
No, he accepted it, which is nice. And then what I did was, because that unit had wiped itself out, and I was next to another unit, I activated that unit to fight again. So my solitaire piled in and attacked his weird knob. At which point, and then killed him. And then I was like, okay, now this unit here has to attack me. And he's like, no. And I was like, yes. He's like, no. And I was like, now you know that I'd been to the judge before the tournament started to okay that set of rules, that in 40k you have to attack a unit if it's in close combat with you. So I'd gone and checked that with the TO. The TO would come back and said, yeah, it's in designer's commentary. That's where the rule is. I was like, no, but that's very nice of you. It's cool. That's Elliot who runs the tournament. So we'd had that conversation in case it came up in any games. So I could say, all right, I've already checked it with the judge. And if he'd have said no, I'd have been like, all right, cool. Like, something else I've learned. That's fine. And then so he's like, get a judge. And I was like, okay, I'll go get a judge. So when I got a judge, judge came over, was like, yep, that's fine. Then we rolled it out. So then...
How many mortal wounds did they do to themselves?
How
many mortal wounds did they do to themselves?
Oh, a ton more mortal wounds. Anyway, long story short, I didn't get to start my third go. Now, he had 3 goes. I didn't get to start my third go until 4 minutes left on the clock. And I don't have a lot of models to move.
No.
I don't have a lot of shooting to do. In fact, in my second turn, I just charged all my bikes at some Orc boys because I was like, I wonder what this does. We're never going to finish this game. Let's stress test these boys. By the way, they're not the right unit for combat for those bikers, FYI. No. 3 attacks each, hits on 3s, strength 4, -1, 2 damage, but they just got too many attacks back.
Yeah.
So, that was a bad decision. And then I called the judge over at 4 minutes, and I was like, I refuse to take a loss for this game, or even, I'm not saying I've won, but this is just a draw. This was a non-event. And the judge was like, who is winning? I was like, it doesn't matter who is winning. Nothing matters. Like, I've had to wait an inordinate amount of time to just do anything.
Like, how much playing time did you have in that game?
Playing time?
20 minutes?
Maybe 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Maybe 20 minutes.
2.5 hours?
In 2 turns.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Yeah, if I play that final, I'm having a win, by the way.
Sorry?
If I play that final, I'm having a win, by the way.
You're having the win?
Well, he won't be at the final, I don't think. Now what's really important is, because like, I put a picture up on Twitter, and obviously loads of people commenting, like, hate slow players. He wasn't a slow player, as in the tactic of playing slowly to get a win. He was a slow player, as in was unable to finish a game. He didn't finish a game that weekend.
Well, like, he wasn't like I was there at the table, 20 minutes to go, and he was doing the jump move, I presume it was, setting up a unit of 20 or 30 boys, and there was 20 minutes left. It was his turn to eat, and he didn't seem aware of the time or what was happening. Like, he was just methodically going through, setting up one boy at a time from a pile. It was no rush at all.
No. Well, and truthfully, like, I like playing Warhammer loads, and I know that there's like a competitive setting where some people get super pushy and be dicks, and sometimes you push back. And Tom, I'm sure we can have this conversation later, and we're going to, and we are going to have this conversation later about all of this. But really, for me, it's the first time, like, in almost all situations, I just be like, do you know what, mate? I don't give a fuck, and just walk away from the table, or just be like, cool, you can have the game, shake his hand, and leave. It's the first time I've ever called a judge over to just be like, this is fucking ludicrous. Like, this guy's wasted 2.5 hours of my life. And we're going to talk about slow play later, but in this particular instance, when I talk about this guy, I think this guy owes me money. Like, he owes me whatever the cost of 1/5 of a ticket is. Like, he owes me time, and he owes everyone else's time. It's offensive that he turned up to a tournament, and someone can be out there and be listening and thinking that I'm being a bit of a dick. But I think it takes the fucking piss to turn up, not speak a language, not do something. I spoke to someone that night. It's like, well, you're not just going to turn up to Wimbledon, are you? And just play a game?
No.
Like,
I don't really know how to play tennis.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
I just want to get involved.
Yeah, like, I can't really.
I think it's a little bit of. Well, here's the thing: if he hasn't played any practice games, and that's his first time using that list, and he took it to the tournament. And he can't change his army, and he's then discovered that he physically can't play it in the amount of time. That's
Tommy, he wasn't trying to play it though. Like Nick will give you some like anecdotal evidence as like someone else being there, but there was no.
Or not?
He was just very slow.
Yeah, he just did not care to go fast.
No.
Right, okay.
He wasn't trying to play at a normal pace.
Trying to go fast, he wasn't trying to go slow, but he's just kind of turned up and he's not able to play his army in the time, and he just wasted everyone's time. Right?
Yeah. He just wasted. He wasted 5
I think
people.
that's pretty disrespectful. If you can't,
It's incredibly disrespectful.
Fuck off. Yeah.
Don't turn up. Like practice.
Yeah.
Like absolutely okay. But like and as another little side note, when I played my final game, he was playing on the table next to me. I said to he again took 40 minutes before their game started because I was keeping a track of it while I was playing my game. And then I asked his opponent after about an hour. There was about an hour left on the clock. I was like, "Have you had a turn yet?" And he was like, "No, I haven't had a turn." And then they just packed up with 45 minutes left on the clock.
No. Was that just the opponent giving up because he couldn't be asked anymore?
Huh?
Was it just because his opponent?
Yeah, he just couldn't be asked.
Yeah.
He was just like, I can't be bothered to play. And I was like, and there are tournaments built for people like that. You know, there are games built for people like that. And if he borrowed the army off with one of his friends and he was there on the piss, he should just be like, he should just turn up and go, "I don't know what I'm doing. You can have the win. Yeah, let's just roll.
Play.
Let's play. Let's roll some dice and have fun."
Yeah.
But he was taking it super seriously at the start.
Yeah.
With no intent of ever finishing the game. Like,
Yeah.
and truth be told, I think that guy's a dick. Like, end of. And if one of the Italian people in the world know who he is, you can flat out call him a dick for me. Like, you wasted 2.5 hours of my day, and you wasted 2.5 hours of everyone else's day. And I think it's bang out of order personally. Like, and also like,
Sorry,
I don't make.
Carry on around.
Yeah, I don't make loads of money at the minute, and almost all the money I make comes from the people who watch this show. And the people who watch this show have paid for that ticket so that I can go and give a report. Like playing someone really cool, like even Kevin, like really constructive conversation about like, how do we learn not to not know stuff? Great conversation. Yeah. This guy, I've got nothing to report. He's not just wasting my money, he's wasted other people's money. I think he's a bell end. I've been sat on this all week. It's now finally coming out. And I'm like, move on, Rob. Move on from this conversation. Anyway, there we go. I feel I've covered that. Maybe. Yeah. Anyone want to ask a question about it?
If he comes final, I'll destroy him for you. It'll be fine.
Well, you wasted because it doesn't, Tom, he won't play fast.
Doesn't matter.
I'd like to give him a game just so I can just badger him as it's during his turn to make him play quick.
But I don't like. Again, that's another. Like here I am now, like saying that I think he's a knob. Yeah, but I don't want to go and have a social interaction with someone for 2.5 hours. That's what I love about the Warhammer community. Everyone's awesome. Like there were so many great people there that weekend who were saying hi. We were chatting. We were talking about different stuff. Like people were winning and losing, but having good, honest conversations about like how it went and why. I thought that was wicked, and that's what the community is. He doesn't represent the community. He's like an outlier, and he should fuck off, or he should learn to play as part of our community. But either way, he should never be allowed to go to an event until he can play properly. Like, and I hope this somehow reaches him through the dialogue of the internet. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
If you can't play an army at a time, don't take that army. It's pretty
I don't want to badger someone for 2.5 hours. I don't want to turn up. I want like almost everyone else at that tournament like played their game. They were moving models fast. They were measuring. Like being quick, rolling dice fast. Everyone was great. Everyone was great. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, that was fine. That was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Yeah. Good. I was actually a lot nicer than I thought I was going to be. So
okay.
You were actually.
Yeah, I thought that was fairly nice.
Still made your point. It was good.
Yeah, good. Basically, fuck
well
off,
done.
in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to learn Italian for fuck off.
Piss off Italian.
One of his teammates is coming. Karl Mack says one of his teammates is going to come on sat. I'll mention it to him. Lol. Yeah, please tell him to politely fuck off forever.
This thing.
Clip this bit.
Yeah. So the same teammate is a mate of mine.
Yeah.
And I kept sending him past your table.
You what?
I kept sending him past your table to
All right.
have a look.
Yeah, I
Live I report.
Yeah, I like if I ever was to see him at a tournament again, I would go and speak to the TO. Like, because I said to the TO at the end, because when I brought him over, I was just like, "What's your plan?" And he's just like, "I was like, you can't let him play anyone else this weekend. He's physically unable to play a game." Like,
I mean, he just can't move his models. He's just some kind of like T-Rex.
Yeah, he can't or doesn't want to play a game all the way to conclusion. So what do you expect? You know. Anyway,
that's a really shit way to end day one as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad wombo. Like I was like, and so I didn't really want to come back on the second day, truth be told, because I was just like,
the result was seeing pictures of you and Nathan at 5 a.m. or whatever it was climbing up Roundup.
Yeah, so I had to work that night. So usually whenever there's a heat on, I have to.
You are a mad bastard.
Yeah, so I worked that evening. I don't mind that. Worked that evening, slept for 3 hours, went back. But my next day was much, much better. I had a cracking day.
Good.
Cracking day. And two of my opponents that day were great. So
Just one bad apple.
One sensationally bad apple. Like he should fuck off.
Did
Fuck
have a
off
worm
forever,
in it.
specifically. Yeah. Sorry, please move on. Say
Okay.
something, Nick.
Cheeky Nando's for me on Saturday night. So
Yeah.
we had so it's me and Chris Foster in Dionysus. We had a bit of a chat about Necrons, which was cool. So then Sunday morning, who did I play? I played another Eldar player. Sunday morning, I played another Eldar player.
Yeah.
So I played James from, I can't remember what their club was called, but they all had the shirts that looked like staff shirts.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
like, the burgundy red shirts.
Yeah. Wait, was he like the really cockney fella?
Yeah.
And he had really pretty Eldari.
Yes.
Yeah, he played next to me on my final game, and he was just no, he was playing next to me during the Orc game.
Oh,
and him and his mate were just having a great time, because he had the guy with all the custodians with the bikes.
Oh, okay.
And he moved over, and then all of his Dark Reapers deleted a unit of the bikers. And what was incredible is the custodians guy's face. He was like, his mate came over and he was like, "What's happening?" He went, "Do you know? Have you heard of these things here? These Dark Reapers? Bloody hell, they're good.
Bit good, aren't they? It might be a thing.
He sounded like real fun.
I wonder why no one else uses these Dark Reapers.
Yeah. Was it fun?
Yeah, it was a fun game. But he got a little bit despondent halfway through the game. Basically, I went first again for the fourth game in a row.
Good.
So this game was Ascension.
Yeah.
So it was a bad scenario for him because of how good my army was in that game. So Ascension is 3 objectives. Characters trump everything else, and characters, if they're there for subsequent turns, score more points. So my Warlord was a character knight, and then I can pay a command point to make another one, have a Warlord trait, and get the character keyword. And then I can pay another command point to give another knight a relic, which gives him the character keyword as well. So I had
you don't just have 3 knights; you have 3 characters.
3 characters as well.
Solid.
Did you have Landstrider as well, by the way?
No.
All right.
Didn't need it.
Well, what does that do for the people at home who
Is
don't
that-
know?
Plus 2 inches to advance and charge moves.
I never advanced a knight all time.
You said 3
Didn't
shooting
need,
knights.
didn't need to. Just walk 12 inches and shot things.
Yeah.
So I went first, and I knew that. So his Reapers were in the Wave Serpent. So I just thought, I'm just going to ignore the Wave Serpent and wait till he gets out and then shoot the Reapers. But I knew he had 2 units of 6 Shining Spears, and Knights obviously don't get the invulnerable save in combat.
Yeah.
Apart from I'd given one of them Sanctuary, which is a relic, which gives them a 5+ vulnerable save at shooting and combat as well. So I'd done that in response to Shining Spears. But in my first turn, I was able to kill 11 out of his 12 Shining Spears. So he had 1 left. And then, so I jumped on 2 objectives with 2 Knights. And then he got his Reapers out. And then my next turn, I killed all his Reapers. And then his last Shining Spear, and then I killed another character. And it was basically game over at that point. He was just trying to chase a few victory points around. Yeah, but so halfway through the game, he got a bit despondent and we had a bit of a discussion about, and I brought up the first turn problem, which I think here is, because obviously I went first.
Hashtag the first turn problem.
Hashtag the first turn problem, because I just basically went first, shot off 2 massive units, and then so he essentially started the game, I don't know, with 1,200 points rather than 1,750.
Wait, so you killed 2 units of Reapers, right?
2 units of Shining Spears.
Right, okay.
And then he had 1 unit of Reapers in the Wave Serpent, which I then killed my next turn.
All these games are coming down to I killed his Reapers and then I won.
Yes, basically. yeah. So he got a little bit despondent halfway through, but then at the end of the game, I think he noticed himself being a bit, because he made a comment like, I need to learn to lose well. So I really sort of respected him for saying that, because he recognised he was getting a bit grumpy because he'd been shot off the table very badly by knights, but realised that he didn't want to be
bit of a Serena Williams.
He didn't want to be a Mardy guy. So he sort of made that comment at the end. So I really respect that from James.
Carl Mack saying we need a name for. He got his Reapers out of a Wave Serpent and the knight deleted it. Yeah.
So that game, it was a good matchup for me because I knew from the last game that as soon as I waited for the Reapers to get out of the Wave Serpent, I can kill him with my Gatling cannons. And also Wave Serpents, obviously they've got the reducing the damage thing, so I avoided shooting them. I just got my knights close and then jumped on it in combat and just sort of jumped up and down on the Wave Serpent until it was dead.
I got to tell you, one of the most satisfying things to kill in all of Warhammer is a Wave Serpent.
Yeah. And Dark Reapers.
I mean, Dark Reapers.
Just any form of Eldar I enjoy killing.
Yeah. To not kill because they're Wave Serpents and they're awesome.
Yeah, okay.
None survived fighting me this weekend.
Ooh?
None survived fighting me this weekend.
There we go. That's good.
Yeah, so it was a good matchup for me in terms of army going first, and then the objective scenario as well was very good for me. And yeah, so I won that game.
Oh, nice.
40 minutes to spare, probably.
Fucking hell. You basically have had an entire game to spare at this stage, which is fun. Yeah. I got there a little bit late, 3 minutes late, and so I got drawn up against. So I got to play the spare player. Yeah. Now, obviously, Games Workshop employs someone over the course of the weekend who's doing some overtime to be the spare player, and constantly one of the same guys always volunteers. A guy called Andy Millington, pretty tall fella, plays with Thousand Sons, big fan of Thousand Sons, and that's what he had.
One thing about his army offended me that I saw.
He did have his vehicles on square bases. Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Based on square bases. But ignoring that, and he had Magnus, and he had a Predator, and he had a Demon Prince, and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and he had like the cat, and he had a Rhino, and it had some Thousand Sons dudes in there, and I'm sure he must have had something else. So the Magnus takes up quite a bit of the points, doesn't it? And I got to say flat out, if you ever had a ball-bustingly shit game like I did against that orc moron, still really, it's coming out. I want to go back to it and just be like, he is a fucking prick. But I'm leaving it alone. You should get to play Andy. Yeah, because Andy Millington gave me a fucking cracking game. We just had a laugh. We rolled dice. Yeah. We just went all in. He played really hard. He played really fast. He was completely fair. You couldn't ask more for a representative of Games Workshop, in my opinion, to be a spare player who knows his shit, who plays well, plays competently, plays competitively, plays fairly, and plays fun for the course of the game. I had just a cracking time, and considering I was thinking of just being like, if I have to play one of those Italians again or anything else this weekend, I wasn't really sure I was going to take it, but playing him was a treasure, and just made me be like, this is what Warhammer's about. Let's have some fun. It was great. So yeah, I had a great time.
Nice.
Great time. Won that game, which was fun. Most impressive bit, Solitaire ran in, one uppercutted Magnus.
Nice.
That's right. You heard it here, Tom. Uppercutted Magnus. Yeah.
Not very high about smashed him in the forehead.
Yeah, he's just uppercutted him, and then afterwards he ran over and he attacked the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and then he uppercutted him. The fusion pistols just were amazing. They just went through all the vehicles. The Magnus deleted a unit of bikes on the first turn. He just flew over, warp timed, charged a unit of bikes, deleted them, and I was like, that's fine. And then Solitaire went in and just uppercutted him. Went into
Good trade.
It was a great trade, right? And then I went into the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, uppercutted him. All the vehicles just got burnt to death by mortal wounds, and it was a big win. It was great fun though, really fun. Plus Solitaire, and the Shadow Seers just kept popping D3 mortal wounds everywhere.
So I really enjoyed the mental imagery of your solitaire fighting all the Orc boys. What's better in your head, in fighting Orc boys and making them kill themselves, or Magnus?
So it was really unlikely he was going to kill Magnus. It was like I hit with everything, and then like a wound on 5s and 6s against Magnus, but I got like 7 wounds through, and then he failed basically all of them.
And it's 3+ invulnerable save.
Yeah, you just roll loads of 1s and 2s, and it was just Retestante. I'll put the list up in a bit, and then he just took like 7d3 damage and just died.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
D3.
You what?
Starts roll pretty high on that 7d3. Like the average is 14.
Oh, he'd already taken a bunch of wounds from Inferno from the Inferno pistols. Yeah, which is pretty good.
Was he trying to pull that bollocks where people keep trying to give him a 2+ invulnerable save?
No, like I told you, he just played super fair and super great. He was a delight. I encourage everyone, if you get the opportunity, to somehow try to find Andy and his details and play Warhammer against him. It was a cracking time, and we just had a badass time.
Just next Games Workshop tournament you go, can I please play the
spare player? I gave him one of my favourite sports votes. I was like, you deserve a favourite sports vote. Like, absolutely. So I got to say, big shout out to Games Workshop and the events team to have him as a spare player, because that's super worthwhile. In my opinion, and obviously, is a great representation of the hobby. I don't know if anyone else played him, but you can't ask for more from the tournament, in my opinion. So yeah, great game.
Nice, well played.
Who's your final game?
So my final game was against Massimo.
The Italian Elba player.
Huh?
The Italian Elba player.
Yes, Massimo.
Yeah, I played him round 1 of the Heat last year.
Okay, yeah. So there was one controversial moment in this game that was right at the start. So we were setting up, and then he rolled a bunch of dice for I can't remember what for, and I asked him, "Are all your symbols 6s? All of my symbols are 6s. Are all your symbols 6s?" And then he rummaged in his dice bag, swapped a few dice, and then said, "Now they are."
Really?
And I was a bit like, okay. So were they not before? Had you mixed in a load of symbols on the 1s and 6s into your dice pool? Was that a dodgy thing you were doing? I didn't say that at the time.
I just
thought at the time, oh, that's a bit weird. But I'm glad I asked because I wanted to ask because he had loads of random different dice as people do. Like you've got in your random, you've got loads of little random dice mixed together. So I just wanted to. Sorry.
Yeah, all my symbols.
That's what I just wanted to check. Are all your symbols 1s or 6s?
Yeah.
So yeah, he did the swap and then said now they are. So I don't know whether he was doing anything dodgy in that game or not. But this was a really cool game. I didn't go first for the first time in this tournament.
You didn't go first?
Didn't go first.
Well, then that must have been an uphill struggle.
Well, I won the game. But it was a really, really close game. So he didn't have Yunari. He had a big squad of Reapers and a couple of little squads of Reapers, 2 Wave Serpents, and then he had 2 Crimson Hunter fighter players, and then Rangers and things like that. So this was dominate and destroy. So there was 6 objectives and then kill points. So it was good for him because he had lots of units to capture the objectives, but then bad for him because he had more units than me. I only had 9 kill points available to him. So he went first and he targeted my Warlord with everything he had. And obviously I activated Ion Shield, so I had a 3+ invulnerable save. So I think it was probably a mistake on his part to do that. He doomed my Warlord as well, so I think that made him go for it.
Yeah.
But basically I just passed almost everything, so he hardly did any damage to my Warlord first turn. I think he should have basically just, as soon as he activated Iron Shields,
just switch
to a different one. Fuck Doom, doesn't matter, you're not gonna, you're
not gonna get through.
You're not gonna get through, it's pointless.
Did you not have access to a speedy Jinx?
Sorry?
Did you not have access to a Jinx?
A Jinx? Oh, I think he failed it that turn.
Okay.
Yeah, he did have Jinx, so he failed it this turn.
That's a big roll.
Yeah. But then, so I went next. I had a reasonably unlucky first turn with killing stuff. I didn't kill. He passed a lot of saves in his Reapers that I shot at. But I just walked up a bit forward to him. And then the one mistake that I felt he made in the first turn was obviously to try and doom my Warlord and shoot it. So it left his Farseer exposed. So I knew doom over the course of the game would be pretty massive. So I managed to move one of my knights up to be within 8 inch. So I needed an 8-inch charge on the Farseer. So I shot a load of stuff. In my first charge phase, rolled a 7 for my charge. I was like, it's fine. I can use a command point. 84% chance to get this charge now. Rerolled the 1 into another 1. So I was like, yes, great.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Big thumbs.
But then he went next, and then he all but killed my Warlord. I think it was like almost dead. But he then retreated his Farseer back because I'd moved closer, so he didn't need to expose it so much. So my chance at getting the Farseer at that point had gone. And then in my next turn, I was just killing as many Reapers as I could. He had 2 Fire Prisms as well. I was trying to kill them as well. They were
How much stuff does he have in this list?
Sorry.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, quite a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you not played with against Roundup,
he
Tom.
didn't.
You've got too much stuff for too cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't have any Shining Spears in this list, so it was just Fire Prisms and Reapers.
And one squad of Reapers and Crimson Hunter.
We had one big squad and then two little squads of Reapers.
Oh wait, have you mentioned yet the Drukhari detachment also that was probably...
No, he didn't have Drukhari. Pure Eldar. So in my third turn... in his third turn he managed to kill a knight.
Yeah.
So then I rolled the dice and it exploded. So this is one of the biggest decisions I had to make. So obviously my first knight that dies, I want to bring it back for 2 command points. But for 2 command points, it's a 50-50 roll. So you kind of need your reroll for that to make it a 75% chance to come back. But because I'd rolled the 6 to explode, it was either, do I save the get up again for another night?
Yeah.
Or do I gamble to have 3 knights in my turn for shooting? So I deliberated on it for like a minute and I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to go for it. So I re-rolled the explosion dice, didn't explode again, and then rolled my get up again dice. And I used the dice that his other Italian mate gave me earlier to roll the dice, and I rolled a 6.
Nice.
So I managed to get up again. And then my next turn I had 3 fully operational knights, which was nice.
Hey Nikos, are you sure it wasn't a 1 and the symbol was just on the wrong side?
Well, it could have been. It very much could have been, yeah. I should have checked that.
Got him.
So I got my 3 knights up again. But basically the game went to 7 turns, but I was ignoring his Crimson fighters, or what we call Crimson Hunters. I was ignoring them.
But the guy from my third game actually was still on our 7th turn at the 5th. During our 5th game.
Oh, right.
He'd been playing overnight, yeah.
Oh, right.
I just left my models, like...
You didn't play against me.
Still going.
You couldn't hit yourself, it's fine.
So our game came down to... It went to 7 turns, and it came down to... I was basically going to try and kill everything apart from his planes.
Yes.
Because of the boots on the ground rule, that would have mean he's automatically tabled. So it came down to one night. I had 1 night left at about half wounds. I had 1 command point left for his last turn. And he had his Warlord, 2 planes, and a Wave Serpent. So his Warlord was trying to run away and avoid me. Chased that down, managed to shoot him to death, and then in my 6th turn, failed to charge on the Wave Serpent. So then he had his 7th turn to try and kill that 1 knight. So I had 1 command point left, use it on the Iron Shields to give me the best chance of surviving. And then he didn't get many wounds through with his planes, but then when he did, like, this is one of my favourite moments. So like, he got one of his pulse laser shots through, so it's just a flat 3 damage.
Yeah.
And because I've got House Tyrannus, I get the 6 up DPR. So for that 1 pulse laser that he got through in that turn, 666, baby. And he just kind of like turned around at this point, like hugged his mate, like, oh, what can I do? Speaking in Italian.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny.
When he started losing, he just hugs his friends.
Yeah.
I came around and gave it a
And then in my last turn, so I had my knight right next to the Wave Serpent. He had 3 wounds left. All I had to do was kill the Wave Serpent on 3 wounds with a knight. But then I used my Dreadnought that was in the corner, that had to move to get in range, and was hitting him on 6s. And I managed to kill it with the Dreadnought, so I didn't even need the knight. So that was cool. The Dreadnought in the corner just like finished it off.
I love the Dreadnought that was there for the whole tournament, just in the corner firing away.
Just firing away. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, managed to win that one by tabling.
So you went 4 for 1.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job. How much time did you get left then?
20 minutes probably.
20 minutes left.
Mm.
All right, nice. My last game, I played a guy called Greg.
Yeah.
But there was some interesting things. I got to the table. There were 2 trays, 2 armies in front of me. Chris bore witness. There was a army of 3 Imperial Knights and a guard detachment. And I was like,
I
was like, finally. The Rock has returned.
Mm-hmm.
A gentleman then came and picked his army up and left.
Oh.
And then Greg turned up with 140 cultists, Abaddon, 80 bloodletters, and a demon prince, and a herald.
Yeah, that's not good.
I really like his army.
And it was on a board, and it looked really cool. It was okay though, Tom, because it was all about holding objectives, and it was also kill points, and there was loads on the board for me. So
and your modifiers really help as well. So.
And the modifiers, mate, and he doesn't really have like a lot of long range shooting. So I was like, okay. But then I actually looked at Greg, and Greg had a Blood for the Blood God t-shirt. His entire army was on a display board. And
really
I've
cool
already lost a game and had a draw. And I thought, and we deployed and I got to go first. And I looked and I was like, I think all I do is just pepper the cultists till they're dead with like all these D6 shots at long range.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on turn 2, make a bit of a screen in my deployment. Like maybe I'll lose a unit of bikes, because I could deploy against a board edge, so I could screen. I know it's a super long charge, but I think I could screen well enough that I probably could make it that all of his bloodletters could maybe hit a single unit or something, and then I could start to go to town on the bloodletters with all the remaining shots left of my army, and not give away too many kill points. I was like, yeah, that seems reasonable. But then he had this Blood for the Blood God t-shirt on. He had corn dice, and I thought, you fucking sexy bastard. Like, let's just play some Warhammer. Fuck that shit. 5 turns. It's late in the day. I'm tired. So, I took the
3 hours.
Yeah, I can't, I'm not having another game like that. I've already had Andy put me in a fantastic mood where I was just like, let's just play. Let's just see what goes on. Like, there's no chance of me going to a podium or doing anything good. Let's just have a great time. So, we deployed, and then I said to him, I was like, look, you've, because he put all the cultists around Abaddon, and he's like, they're all fearless because of Abaddon. And I was like, right, okay. So I picked up my solitaire, and I put him next to Abaddon, where there was a tiny 25mm hole. And I was like, he's right next to Abaddon. Like, do you want to change your deployment? Just move a cultist to the left. I'm not going to be able to put him there. And he's like, that's fine. I've deployed now. Yeah, let's just go for it. I was like, cool. That's great. So I spent a turn. I moved all my bikes up. Just all of them.
Okay,
yeah,
let's go.
I was like, go on, boys. Yeah, shot at all the cultists. I intentionally had a unit of bikes on the left near my Inferno Pistol Starweaver dudes because I wanted his Demon Prince to come over and deal with the bikes. And then after I lost them, I was going to trade, and then I was going to Inferno Pistol the Demon Prince to death because screw that guy. But then, anyway. All the bikes went over. I killed loads of cultists because obviously they've got 6 shots on each of the Starweavers as well. You got all the shooting from the bikes, just doing D6 shots. I had like hallucinogen grenade launchers doing D3 mortal wounds, all sorts. I got both of my psychic powers off on Abaddon, so he's -1 to hit, and my solitaire was -1 to hit. Yeah, I blitzed. I auto ran 6 inches, so I'm literally like right next to his whole army now. I charged in a unit of bikes to soak up Overwatch. Charged in another unit of bikes, and then I charged everything with the solitaire. I was just like, let's go. Yeah, put the solitaire right next to Abaddon, activated him, tried to punch him to death, fluffed it. He then had a unit of cultists left. He was like, 2 command points. These cultists are going to get... These guys are going to get... Yeah, no, he didn't tell traitors. He was like, they're getting +1 to wound.
Right.
Yeah.
Veterans of the Long War. Yeah,
and then he was like, right, I've got 2 attacks each. Like hit or whatever they had, like 4s rerolling to wound because of some of the character, and I was like, holy bananas! And he killed like 8 of the 12 bikes before they struck, really? And I was like, oh, but it was fine because I wanted them to be in there. That was the point because I wanted him to have some skulls. And then I was like, it's Abaddon's turn to attack Greg. He was like, yeah, okay. no problem. And then he just killed himself. And then I spent 2 command points, and then I punched his herald to death as well, which was really fun. And then I made some other guys attack themselves, and I wiped out all the. And I mean, I could have just had the bike stand off. The solitaire would have done exactly that. And then because Abaddon was gone and he'd lost most of those 2 units, Battle Shock was horrific. and he had no command points. Loads. One entire unit ran away, and then most of the other unit ran away. But then I'd lost loads already in that singular turn, that first turn, and then he struck back. But to be fair, and then he brought some bloodletters down, he charged some bloodletters.
Bombs away.
It chops away. But I want to be super fair to Greg. I'm not trying to say that like I gave him the game. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
I think he enjoyed himself as well. That was the purpose of what we did. I got to do my solitaire trick, was what I really wanted to do. I'd already claimed Magnus that day, so Magnus and Abaddon that day.
Some big names you're taking.
Some big names to take, and I was over the moon about it. Also, that cheeky herald, fuck that guy too. But I could have had the same net result and like lost none of the bikes. Then he loses all the guys, and next turn shot again and definitely killed them all. And then it would have been just all of his bloodletters off the board. You know, deep striking down. So I think it was. I don't want to say I think it was my game, but I think it could have been. But I just didn't care that much.
Too late in the day.
Here is
Yeah.
that you projected your round 3 opponent's face onto Magnus and Abaddon. And your solitaire.
And I am the solitaire.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You are the solitaire.
it was a cracking time, and he was great fun. I really enjoyed playing him. He loved. Also, he played really well as well. Like, 'cause there was one point where, in his turn, he deep struck his Demon Prince, charged with everything, charged in the Demon Prince, and I was like, perfect. He's taken the bike bait. The Demon Prince is right there. Yeah, and I was like, and then he rolled a 1 on the Battle Shock, on the leadership check, morale check for the squad, put 2 bloodletters in front of him. And I was like, did you mean to do this? And he was just like, yes, maybe. I was like, I just put them in the space. Because that would have been exactly where those 6 Inferno pistols were going to go. Sorry, fusion pistols were going to go and just like blitz that Demon Prince's face off. And I was like, well, you played really well. And he didn't drop down all of the units of bloodletters. He only dropped down 1 unit, and he kept 2 of the units in the sky. So that was a really solid tactic as well. So I think he played really well as well. But this Eldar is so fast. This is what I found. I was playing games, and I was like looking at my opponent. And I was like, when I played Andy and he had his Demon Prince, I was like, oh, maybe I'll get over there, 6-inch charge going, maybe the 6 bikes kill the Demon Prince. And I was like, or don't, and just shoot him for another turn from miles away.
Because you can go in whenever you want.
Guarantee he can't charge me. Yeah, it's such a rewarding experience to just have that time on your side because of movement. That it's been.
It's lovely playing Eldar, isn't it?
You what?
It's lovely playing Eldar, isn't it?
I bloody loved it. It was cracking.
Yeah. Just got one more to
Don't even know you anymore.
Yeah, but plus you can play your turns really fast as well, which is really good. And I found that good. So yeah, I ended up losing that game, but that was not.
You mentioned his display board. Can we just? I think it was. I loved his display board. It was so fucking cool because he basically had. It was just like a massive, just flat board. And then in the center, there was a space for his Deep Corn Demon Prince to go. And then he'd made the corn symbol out of skulls. And then he had like rings of skulls coming out from it. So basically his display board was like a corn summoning circle. So he had like Abaddon and the Demon Prince in the middle. And then loads of cultists in the inner rings. And then on outside rings, like all the demons were there.
And he's caught his little flag.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was badass. Also, shout out to Andy Millington. His Thousand Sun army also looked amazing. They all had like scrolls written on the side.
But get them off those square bases.
Huh?
Get the
they
tanks
were
off
on
those
square bases. That was weird. I won't. Like, let's call it what it is. So overall, I had an interesting weekend for me.
Nice.
And Nikos, you had a very relaxed.
I had a very relaxing weekend, but I really enjoyed playing with my knights. They were really fun.
Yeah.
Shoot lots of bullets, everyone. And lots of people came up and gave me some cool comments about my knights.
Because your knights look badass, right?
They do. And after, I've bought some Helverins to make a pure knight army. And also, I chopped off one of my battle cannons on one of them to magnetize a chainsword on. because I wrote an army list with the 2 Helverins in, and I can't fit the 2 Helverins and 3 of the same knights that I have. So I need to make one with the chainsaw to make it a bit cheaper, so I can fit the Helverins in as well.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not sure, because my knights are painted like flames. It's got the yellow flames or orangey flames. I was considering painting my little Helverins either the same colour flame. Dionysus was the one who recommended magnetising them.
Yeah.
So I was considering painting them the same flame colour, so they're all just the same fire, or painting them like blue fire, so like a different colour fire, almost like a gaslight fire for the little ones. Do the same effect, but just a different colour.
I think it would be cool if you had almost like utility roles, so you've got knights of the same chassis all have the same paint scheme, but then Helverins have a different paint scheme, Armigers have a different paint scheme. If you get a bigger knight, that can have a different paint, the same style, but maybe just a different colour.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah. So instead of orange or yellowy orange fire.
And then you can save even more time on the tabletop. You don't even have to call your units their names, just be like, blue dude shoots at pointy ear men.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Do you need a different house for the Helverins?
I don't think so. They're all going in the same detachment.
So
I liked the extra 6-up save one.
Yes.
It was really, really good.
Lovely.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
So who won the event?
It was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he had
a bit of a janky list, right?
I don't even know what he had. He had Imperial Guard with some Scions.
Yeah.
He had some Custodes bikes. And I can't remember what else he has.
He had a load of different stuff. Yeah, Simon Winter. So big shout out to Simon Winter. I will say that during Game 5, I did go up and there were
there's a crowd on the table, wasn't
there? There were two of the list from Nova. And if you guys don't know what we mean, it's Catachan Imperial Guard. It's a Knight what's it called?
It's a Castellan.
Knight Castellan. And
then
then
a Guard Brigade with Catachans.
Yeah.
And then it's a battalion of Blood Angels with 2 Smash Captains.
Exactly. So that's so they were playing each other on table 1, or something like that was playing each other on table 1. Table 2, 3, 4, 5 also had the same version of different styles, very small, but basically the list over and over again. Over and over and over again.
So creative.
Super creative. But also just clearly quite good.
Oh yeah.
Yes. But I think it was, I don't know. I don't really know what to, it's in my notes. So what do we think about that? What do we think about that at the weekend? What do you guys think about that being the case?
Lots of copycat lists.
Loads of the copycat same list. Doing really well as well.
Well, obviously, I think that shows that list is pretty strong. That everyone's taking it and always does quite well.
Yes.
But I do think it's with the way that Games Workshop are doing things now with FAQs and chapter approve. It does give me hope that that won't last forever. Because in the dark days where they barely ever change things, if that list was a problem, it could have been a problem for a long time. But the likelihood is that when the FAQ comes out, the points will change and things will change, that list won't be as viable. So it might be a little bit boring right now, but after the FAQ drops, hopefully things will change and everything will shake up again.
Yeah. I think they'll do a CP rework and they'll do a points increase of the Castellan.
Yeah.
So rumour is the Castellan goes up 100 points apparently. And then, honestly, it makes me a little sad that there's a lack of imagination high in the gaming scene in the UK. I wouldn't say that, that.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true. Also draw picks as well, and also games. I felt I would have loved to have played that list over and over again with my Harlequin army. I just didn't get drawn up against it once. No one was expecting 180 All Boys.
No.
Chris, were you at the Heat?
Yeah, Chris was playing at the Heat that weekend.
Okay, so we played that list a few times.
Yeah, and there was a couple of both Chris and Dionysus were playing Necron, so they kicked ass, which I thought was really cool.
I think we had Mark Pocock go down and we had Conrad go down, but I don't think there were many people from the ETC circuit down at this Heat.
Yeah, playing. So it's a little bit overwhelming when you see the same thing over and over. and that night, and then there were pure knight armies as well. So then there was the Knight Castellan in that kind of mixed army, and then there were loads and loads of knight armies as well, right? At the same time?
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting topic. Nothing more to say on that, maybe? Do you think?
I mean, I played it. I played it game one, and I actually quite enjoyed. I mean, I might not have enjoyed it had I played it every game, but I enjoyed the challenge of going up against the list because I knew it was a solid list that was good, and I sort of enjoyed the challenge of trying to beat it personally. But again, my feelings on command point farming, I think it's just boring to play. I've only used it once, the Necron version in a friendly game. Where it was just every time I spend a command point, 5+ I get one back. I found it boring to use because I prefer to have a cool rule that I can try and make use of rather than every now and then I get an extra command point. And I think it's really boring to play against, and I think it makes the game easy for the person using it because they never have to worry about running out of command points.
There's no cost from using the stratagems.
No, exactly. Yeah, you're never going to run out unless you really burn through them really, really quickly. Like use lots of 3 command point ones.
Which the Castellan list can do with the Guard Brigade, which is why you need the brigade and then you need the battalion.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily an easy thing to do because when you're using stratagems, you're getting them back on a 5+. With the grand strategist, so 5+ to every stratagem you use, and then you are using the Veritas Vitae potentially as well, which gives you another 5+. So if you spend say 3 command point stratagem, you roll 4 dice.
Yeah.
And every 5 is 1 back. It's just super hard to burn through them, even if you're using 4 command points a turn, no problem on the Castellan.
Yeah, and that knight's too cheap, right? Does too much.
I mean, after my first game, we were comparing his knight and then my knights with the rocket pod on top.
Yeah.
So it's 70 points difference. And the difference is massive, like just huge amount of firepower it has compared for 70 points.
Plus more wounds.
Yeah, more wounds, more firepower for 70 points was just outrageous.
Yeah, it's a little bit too cheap. So if you guys are wondering why, so that knight seems really good. Obviously, the CP farming is a thing. The Blood Angel Slam Captains have been a thing for a while, so there's a bunch of stuff. It's really funny as well because then you've got things like the Knight Porphyron from Forge World, which is like 750 points and doesn't have anywhere near as much as bigger guns. It's got some massive guns, but doesn't have as many.
No.
So you can like split fire and stuff, which I think is interesting. Yeah. Okay, all right. So I think there's like 3 subjects that. Did you get any favourite game votes, Nick?
I think I got 1 favourite game vote.
Okay.
And 2 favourite army votes.
Nice. Good job.
Nice.
Good job. It was a question that came from one of the people in the chat. Yes. Good. All right.
No, Papine. Mine were Imperial Knights. So they're good guy knights.
Yeah.
But next week there might be Chaos Knights.
It might be Chaos Knights.
Who knows?
Just always paint them in a generic colour scheme that you can use
in
the game. I was lucky. I got 3 favourite game votes and a favourite army vote. So thank you to my opponents. I got not the Italian guy. Fuck you. It just reinforced that.
Yeah.
Tom, I think
just in case you know
some of them because they're in like an Italian team or something, right?
So Patrick, who's one of the guys at my local club, was putting together a team with sponsors and stuff, similar to kind of like a mini esports team.
Yeah.
And effectively, I think a few of those guys are involved. So.
Those guys aren't involved though, right? The Italian people.
They were all wearing the shirts, weren't they?
They're involved in an esports team.
Yeah.
What sport is it?
Oh no!
Incredibly slow chess.
It's just they're putting together an org kind of similar to how an esports org works, I think.
Yeah.
Because Patrick keeps posting about sponsors on his Facebook whenever they go to an event.
So
they all have their shirt on. So
also, whoever gave me a favourite army vote, you're a babe. But
maybe it was because they like the list.
Yeah, maybe because they like the list. People loved the solitaire. The solitaire was great fun.
Maybe someone wanted to give you a favourite opponent vote, but they couldn't give you 2. Well, they wanted to give you 2, but they couldn't, so we just gave you a favourite army vote.
Yeah. Yeah, let me tell you, my army looked like pants, and I apologise, but the next time it won't. Well, it won't look as pants, it'll look medium pants. And eventually, just a full set of pants. All right, so the 3 topics that I think came up from the heat, if you guys are interested in sticking around for the topic, and someone in the chat can vote on who they want it to be, which one they want it to be first. So the first one is to do with what do you do when you don't know what your opponent's army do, and how, as a group of gamers, can we approach that subject. So there's that. It's what do we do with people who are unable to play at tournaments because their skill level is too low.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final conversation is how to define what a tournament is going to be and why you should always take Imperial Knights.
Hey.
Right? So those are the 3 topics. We are going to cover all 3, but it's just which one of those 3 everyone in the chat would like to cover first. If you're watching live, if you're listening to the podcast, thank you to everyone on Patreon and on Twitch for keeping us going. Ghost Valley wants Hordes IST. I think that means he wants to talk about finishing games. What would you guys change in your list based on the weekend? Nikos, add some elements.
I think, yeah. So, yeah, that was a change I looked at because I liked the Dreadnought, but then I kind of wanted to go all knights. So I would, drop the Dark Angels detachment, put 2 Helverins in, but then I'm going to have to drop a battle cannon, and that's what I change.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to drop all of the close combat weapons. I'm going to take fusion pistols in each one of the transports, so I'll have 15 of them as opposed to 6, and because they're incredible, absolutely amazing. I'm taking a Death Jester. I'm changing which mask I'm from, so the Death Jester can take Curtain Fall, which is a relic. One of my Shadow Seers might also take a relic, so I might pay 3 command points for having 3 relics in my army. But I'm going to keep chopping and changing with that. Then I've still got a bunch of points because all the close combat weapons exchange. Oh, I'm dropping 3 bikes as well. So I've got a few points left. So either it's a unit of 2 bikes, which I don't really want to take. I really want to find a way of taking a Troop Master who's far too many points. He's 75 points. And a unit of 10 to 11 just basic sword and pistol foot-based Harleys. But I think they're going to die pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not, but definitely I want to try and fit that in there. So eventually the Death Jester may come back out, and then that squad plus a Troop Master goes in. But I'd be paying 75 points just to get reroll to wounds on one single unit. So I don't really rate it. So maybe another Shadow Seer. But I've got about 100 points at the minute or so in my current list to mess about with. I don't really know. There's not really many options. But Solitaire was solid. Was really good. I've learned loads about the army as well. It's really tough to hit. Obviously, if I play Dark Reapers, they're going to be able to ignore the fact that I've got that -1 from when we're shooting. But that 4-up invulnerable save is pretty good on the bikes. I just cane through vehicles. I just don't really have a way to deal with hordes and vehicles at the same time. And the Zephyrglaves from the bikes are good, but they've got a specific target, which I don't think is hordes. So I don't really know what their specific target is. So,
what's the Zephyrglaive like?
Strength 4, 3 attacks each on a bike. So a unit of 18 bikes gets 18 attacks on 6 bikes. 3 is strength 4, -1 does 2 damage though.
Yeah, so I think unless you're getting rerolls for wounds, they're not great again. They'd be good against vehicles if you got rerolls to wound, I think. Yeah.
And the other Harley player that's in here at the minute, Serbator, saying Big Blob of Harleys has to deep strike, and I agree. But I still want to try and run it, and maybe the list needs to change, and maybe I should stop being a baby, and I should only have 2 transports.
Yeah, stop being a little bitch about it.
Exactly, 2 transports with the fusion pistols in, and then get my Troop Master, and maybe I might even be able to afford 2 squads for combat. But I don't really know yet. It depends on what the issues is. For me, the issue is knights and vehicles, and then you start dealing with infantry afterwards. Well, so that's one of the topics we're going to talk about, isn't it? Nick's list. Which, okay, so we'll move on to that because that's the natural progression. Why should you go to tournaments and why should you only take knights? So the answer is you can either deal with knights or you can't. So when I played Kevin in my second game, I was like, "Oh, you excited about playing knights?" He's like, "I can't fight knights at all." You know, and I was like, I asked the orc player if he could fight knights, and he was like, I can fight the knight by just playing through till the night never
morning
comes,
Yeah.
Which I thought was incredibly eloquent of him because he doesn't speak any English.
Yeah,
And I think, Tom, they're super polarizing as an army, a bit like hordes are, right?
Well, the thing with knights is, there's so many good options in my knight book. I think it's one of the better books Games Workshop have actually released in ever since I've been playing, because there's so many ways you can run knights, and knights still are good.
And that's my point. So Nick, so you went to the heats last time. You did really well with your Bloodletters and your Chaos Space Marines, and this time you went with some knights. Yeah. So give me a conversation about your play experience difference, and also the difficulty setting.
So with my Bloodletters, there's a lot of micromanagement involved because you get one chance to drop in, do your damage.
Yeah.
And you have to set up that chance. So I had to build my whole list around the Bloodletter Bomb, and I had to work for 1 or 2 turns because my Bloodletter Bomb was about 600 or 700 points in total.
Yeah.
So I've got 1,000 points versus their entire army to try and set up the Bloodletter Bomb. And then once it comes in, and either works or it doesn't. And then you got to get a long charge off, and setting it up, often I was in a big long line in a big crescent shape. The 20 going in here and the 30 going in there, and then making sure they're all in range of the buffs of the heroes, hopefully getting the heroes in, where you're going to fight twice, what Overwatch you're going to take, who you're going to try and tie up for shooting, and lots of sort of complicated shenanigans you're doing with a charge, piling in and all sorts. So there's a lot to think about, and there's a lot of models to move around. I had 60 Bloodletters plus, 30 cultists. So I was about 140 odd, 120 models or something around that number. But then this weekend, I had 9 models in my entire army, and 3 of them were almost identical. They've got lots of shooting, they're good in combat, so every game I just moved them forward. The only thing that I really had to think about was target priority. So what gun is going to shoot what?
But then everyone else who has an army has to think about that too, right?
Yeah, but I was just saying, but that's my movement phase, I barely had. My deployment phase, I didn't really have to think about because the range on my knights is so good and they can move so far.
Yeah.
Just smash.
Yeah, exactly. Just put them moving forward, smash. So the only thing I had to really think about was the target priority and what I needed to kill first. Yeah. Basically, kill their anti-tank, then they can't deal with me. Then the game's almost over at that much. No, Chris, I'm not going to have knights as my army for a year. Although it was fun,
yes,
but I prefer to play different, more challenging armies than 3 knights.
And
I had loads of fun playing with them.
Yeah. And I think that's the key element for what I'm trying to get at for people at home. Because identifying that it was a heat this weekend, so just qualifying really should be the purpose of why you're going, if you're going at all. And then following on from that, obviously you want to win the final. Now you went 4-1 and you think you could have won your first game. Yeah. And I think a lot of knight armies generally go 4-1. And I think knights can pretty much be comfortable to sit around that area, winning 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you think?
Just 1 second, sorry. That's
fine. Don't worry, Tom.
I think it depends entirely upon how you build the knight list. So if you're running a pure knight list, I think 4-1, potentially maybe 3-2, is how it would go, because you're going to run into something sooner or later that can either block you effectively, depending upon how you're building it, or something that can potentially shoot you off the board. Because as you were saying, when you take knights, you either hit something that can't deal with you, in which case you basically instantly win, or you hit something that can deal with you, in which case you're in trouble. And over the course of 5 games, you're quite likely to hit something that can deal with you.
I don't know though. So I definitely was geared up to fight Imperial Knights all day long. So I agree, and I feel definitely comfortable. I played a game last week, practice game against 3 Imperial Knights, and it was a cakewalk, realistically. But my point is investiture in time Like, and also like the mental energy. Like, what is a tournament? Like, if you're out there and you go, I like listening to competitive podcasts, I like listening to these things, but how much time do I have to invest? As a good example, me losing the game where I didn't know that what the Deathwatch unit did. Yeah, that was huge. Yeah. Whereas with Imperial Knights, you don't have to worry about that. Like, there's no stress.
I think that's a different discussion because most night lists are actually very, very different because you'll see people running Terran, which is very, very different to Tyrannus, for example. And then you'll have people with just an individual. So, for example, I could play against someone who's just running one Castellan with Raven. And I think, oh, that's what all Imperial Knights do. And then I play against someone who's running Tyrannus, and suddenly it's an entirely different ballgame.
Absolutely. But they've just got Knights, right? Like, and that's kind of the key. This is why should I go to tournaments? Why should I only play Knights? Is kind of the topic. Yeah. And realistically, why I'm talking about it is because it's like the impact on Nick. Nick was the most relaxed. You know, sometimes you played 5 games of Warhammer and you're like, I'm done. Yeah, I do not want to play a 6. I reckon Nick could have played Warhammer for 3 more days.
I could have played another 5 games with that list.
He looked like he had the breeziest time I've ever seen.
This is going to sound really bad, and I don't mean it as any kind of disrespect to your opponents, but Eldar can deal with you.
They can, but...
Yeah, they can, but for some reason they didn't, and I think that's props to you on your part. And you're just walking around just swagging on people with these Knights in what are potentially swing matchups, just chill as anything. And it's like, I'm not entirely sure how you weren't put under any pressure.
I think it did help the fact that I went first 4 games out of 5.
It does, but it's not the be-all and end-all against Eldar. It's good, especially with your list, because you're running, 3 Crusaders, right?
Yeah.
Right, so there's a potential that you can pop a wave step and or clear a unit of Shining Spears. But it's not the be-all and end-all in that matchup, necessarily. There's still a lot of things you can do with...
But my point is, Tom, is that I'm not saying you're going to win a tournament. Yeah? That's the key element for that, identifying what people's goals are to go to a tournament at the weekend. Everyone wants the outside chance that they're going to win a tournament, right? And some people work really hard to make sure maybe they're going to win a tournament. But a lot of people who talk about competitive Warhammer or playing Warhammer go, I just kind of want to have a bit of fun, realistically. Yeah. And the Knights sound like they keep performing, and the data is that they just keep walking over opponents. Yeah, because you play a median Necron army, and the Necron army's like, I can't deal with that. You play a bunch of Space Marines, and they're like, I can't deal with that. Like, go on.
Sorry, but here's the thing: they shouldn't be walking over opponents necessarily. Some matchups certainly they should be walking over people, and obviously Necros walks around, and you were quite relaxed for most of the event, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the time it comes down to, if I fail a bunch of saves here, I'm in trouble. It's squeaky bum time. If you lose one Knight here, then you're in trouble, right? Yeah. So what was that? It was the first game where it's like, if I kill this Knight, I can swing the game, and that's squeaky bum time, right? Because it very much comes down to how well do you roll in that scenario. It's very rare, and you should be getting 4 games in a tournament where you are that relaxed, especially with those matchups.
But you don't. But that still is only coming down to like 3 models or so, where you're
I think I'm getting confused as to how we're defining how you enjoy a game at a tournament.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's define that in a second, because I have put that. Yeah. Give me 1 sec. I just want to read out what one of the guys in the chat said. So, Iddy UK saying it was the total opposite of Battlefield Birmingham, so a big event that was held this weekend. The top 3 lists were the lists that were designed to beat the lists that were designed to beat the Knight list. So there were Knight lists, the lists I'm talking about. Then there were lists designed to beat the Knight lists. Then the lists that won were the ones that beat the ones designed to beat the Knight lists.
Okay. Whereas Tiger Sharks are just dirty, so...
Yeah, I don't know about Tiger Sharks, but when it all said and done in that conversation. But that's Iddy UK's point, and I wanted to make sure that it was made, because it was a well... and JBoo Studio says, I love taking and running curveball armies. Yes, I have to put hard work into it, but I get the joys of making my opponents go, what the fuck was that? Hi, Chuckleberty TV. So, Tom, what I'm arguing for is your pretty standard Warhammer gamer, who might not be a very well performing gamer. Yeah, so people might go, well, I'm going to go buy a bunch of Dark Reapers, and I'm going to stick them in a Wave Serpent, I'm going to take some Shining Spears. Yeah, now being a very good Eldar player like you, yeah, you're still going to say that requires some practice and skill to do well, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. The Knights, and I mean this with all respect to Knight players in the world, take a little less practice and skill than those Eldar armies do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And they're a little bit more forgiving. Yeah?
Yeah.
So the skill cap for them is maybe lower. Maybe it's just as complex. You can do really well. Yeah, like, I've decided to take a melter on this guy instead of a heavy stubber and stuff like that. Like, fine. But what I'm trying to suggest is, if you go into a tournament, just take 3 Knights. Go and have fun.
You, actually.
Huh?
When we break it down, I don't actually disagree with you.
Oh, yeah, okay. Like, go have a laugh, yeah? You're more than likely, the list will carry you through 3 games.
So my intention for this heat was, so I'd already been to heat 1 and already qualified, so I didn't have the pressure of wanting to go to this heat and to do well to qualify for the final. Like, I was already there. I've already bought my ticket, so I was already going.
Wait, can you buy tickets for the final?
Well, once you qualify, you get emailed a link to buy a ticket.
Wait, what? Okay, thanks.
Well, you should do anyway.
Come on, Tom. Qualify 12.
So I was going to this heat, and I just wanted to take something relaxed and fun.
Yeah.
And I'd never taken my Knights to a tournament. I'd only played them a couple of times at some club games. So I didn't think I'd go 4-1.
Yeah.
My intent was to go and have fun because it's easy to play army. I didn't have to work hard to play super complicated Warhammer with. So I was surprised I won 4.
Yes, but there were many Knights that did well. Knight armies that did well. And this comes off the back of having a conversation when we went to the House of Wargamer event, and I was talking to Max. And Max is just like, they're such a polarizing army. But what they're not, and Mamdez just donated 200 bits, thank you, says take 250 Hormagaunts and have a blast too. And what they are is polarizing in the way that Horde lists work. But you have to work your balls off to get your Horde list to do the job it's meant to do. Like the moving, the shooting, all of the work. Whereas to quote Chris Fostering in the chat, so many Night Armies games were over so fast because 5-minute movement phase. If even 5 minutes.
No psychic phase.
No psychic phase. You're moving 5 models. 5 minutes, like shooting phase is probably the most complicated. And then what, is that even more than 10 minutes maybe? Because it's still a limited amount of shots realistically. You know?
My Knights probably had the most amount of shots a Knight's army can have because I had all Gatling cannons, that's 36 shots between them. And then the battle cannons can get 21.
With the exception of Renegade Chaos Knights.
Yes.
So, but then you're taking maybe like at max 20 minutes for your turn. Yeah. You've been really relaxed. You've got time for yourself to process your shots and your decision making because you're not just spending just time moving all your models. You know, that this is my argument. You know, I'm just like, take Knights and just have a really relaxed weekend, especially if you're new and you've never been to a tournament. Especially if you're new, and also play 10 practice games before you go. That's going to be a conversation later. But can you see my argument? You see what I'm trying to get at? Yeah.
If you don't care about winning, yes, 100%.
Well, if you don't care about winning every game. If you're taking your list and you're like going, oh yeah, I guess I'm really hoping that my Imperial Fist army is going to do quite well, and you're like, okay, good luck. Sort of thing. They're like, I only won the 1 game. And it's like, does that bum you out? It's like, yeah. It's like, well, no one really says Imperial Fists are great. It's like, yeah, I know, but they're kind of my army. It's like, all right, have you tried 3 Knights? Well, why? It's like, well, they're big, they're fun, you can paint them yellow, they'll shoot a lot, and you'll win 3 to 4 games. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you're the type of person going to you don't go to many tournaments, you want to make sure you have a good time and you don't lose too many. Yeah, Knights are a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I do think that takes a little bit of agency away from you, though, Nick, because you did really well this weekend.
Yeah, Nick, you're a great player as well. No, but
thanks, guys.
Yeah, we both think that you are. I don't think it, but I'm not. I'm not digging. It's the same way you see someone run 9 Talos. If you go to a tournament, if you go to a tournament this weekend and you see 9 Talos, you go, okay, probably like you weren't the guy. You've seen a lot of things on the internet about how good Talos are. Yeah, cool. You know, Shining Spears, Reapers. You know, a bunch of different stuff. Like Blood Angels, Slam Captains. There isn't a bunch of guys out there in the world who are like, oh, God, I love Blood Angels. Specifically the captains, though. Nothing else.
I just love Blood
Nothing.
I'm not trying to take the skill away from Nikos. I'm just saying they're proven operators that work well constantly.
Yeah. I have to say I'm quite pleased secretly that Nikos did smash 3 Eldar players, because it shows that I'm just not just some brain dead monkey that's just taking the easiest army in the game to play that beats everyone. Clearly that isn't true.
Yeah, Witch King saying, this is what I'm planning for Blood and Glory. I'm just taking 5 knights. Just like low stress.
Yeah.
Really easy.
2K Blood and Glory, actually.
I don't think so.
I'm not sure if the packs come out.
I've actually dropped all my Reapers.
Oh, okay.
I'm testing some out, but that's scary if people are doing that. Might put them back.
Would you be worried about playing 5 knights, Tom?
If I'm playing 5 knights, I'll have to take Reapers. But yeah. I'd be scared of that.
Do you see what I mean?
So there's going to be
Do you see what I mean? But how fucking easy is that to move? It's like, okay, I've got to pick up... So like, if I move 30 models, I have to pick up 30 models and move them. If I'm playing 5 knights, I've already... 1/6. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Movement phase. The fuck over. Like, it's done. And I'm over the moon. Like, anyway, that's my confidence. Like, I want one of them, you know, the meme where it's just like, you should only take Imperial Knights to tourneys. Fight me. You know,
Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Change my mind.
Yeah, change my mind. So if anyone out there disagrees and wants to change my mind, Nick, do you want to change my mind? Do you think?
No, I agree. I think if you want to guarantee yourself at least 1 win,
3 wins.
I don't think you guarantee 3 wins. Maybe 2. 2 out of 5.
I think guaranteed 2 wins.
Yeah.
What if you come against a guy like? Because it is draw dependent. I agree. But most people just say to him, you say to most people, I'd be very interested if you said, everyone in the chat now, that's a good point. Everyone in the chat now, with your current 40k army, if you play 40k, could you or could you not deal with 3 Imperial Knights? Sinise, thanks. LOV, thanks for giving Sinise.
That's so nice.
Yeah, that's so nice. Yeah, let me know if you could beat 3. Yeah. Twitch visitors, I think play 3 knights argument is the same as don't play 40k, play a skirmish game. It's not. Ghost Valley can deal. Chris Frostrin, nope. JB Studio can. Debolt, I can't deal with fuck all. Diagnosis. 50. Yes, I can. Camelot, yes. Azul Greater, probably not 5. Witch King depends who goes first. I think Randolph, my elder suit list can. Diagnosis, I can do 3, not 1. Servitor, I need more bikes. John, Orcs Godline, I don't think so. In the UK, Corn Demon, Prince plus blood letters. Nice. The Cease, yes, but it's a coin flip. If you can't kill 1 immediately, you're in trouble. Grubby, yes, but not 4, and not reliably as current. Poker John, no, unless I was playing my knights. Chukabutty, no, could not beat 3. 4, yes, but 3, fuck off to the edge of the world. Carmack depends on the dice cards. Chris Roshin, there we go. So, yes, I'd take 3 knights, says Orkboy Phil. So there's a lot of confidence in the chat. Yeah? So there we go. One gets all the buffs, and one gets all the buffs, and that fucking 3++ lets you focus on the weaker one, which I think is fair.
I think that's definitely an important thing that I learned over the weekend is there's those stratagems that people rely on, like the rotate iron shields or the extra -1.
Yeah.
I think if you can bait it out somehow and then just switch targets, like have that in your mind that you're going to do that. I definitely got a lot of value out of that over the weekend, particularly playing the Eldar players with the -1. Like they were so quick to do it. As soon as I targeted 1 unit that I thought I wanted to kill, but I was just targeting that 1 unit just to bait out the -1.
Nice.
So that's probably a
So you're giving knight players more tactics. So fantastic.
Well, no, it also works against knights as well. Like if you're playing 3 knights, bluff that you're going to try and kill 1, but then switch targets and kill the other one that hasn't got the boosted iron shield save.
Yeah, that's a solid argument. Yeah, no, that's great. All right, Tom, you got anything to add to? You should, if you go to tournament, you should take knights.
No, I think you killed that pretty well.
I think you gave a good analogy when we were talking about it in Bugman's.
Yeah.
The Street Fighter analogy.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
so some of you may know. Obviously, I'm working on this workbook for 40k/AOS. I know I keep talking about it, but I promise it should be good when we finally get it. I'm not just like blowing smoke up everyone's ass, but it's taken me a lot of time to read and write. So I'm reading this thing about competitive Street Fighter, and there's a bit in it about scrubs, and there's
The TV show.
no, and not the song either by. Scrub is the guy that can't get no love from me. Yeah, none of that. No, scrubs is in people who aren't very good at Warhammer, or not very good at Street Fighters is a particular analogy.
We call them shitters.
Sure, or seals is what we said before, didn't we?
Seals.
Seals, yeah, or Italians based on my weekend.
Ooh. I can't say that. I lost to one. It was fun.
Yeah, so noobs basically. And when he's talking about it, what they're saying is they're talking about mental strain and playing games is what this book's talking about. And it says that like to play through the early rounds. Now that doesn't really apply to Warhammer because every game we play is important.
Yeah.
So even a single loss probably means you're not going to win our style of how we do tournaments at the minute. But in the early rounds of Street Fighter games, usually what someone does is they have a character that's got a pretty difficult to do move or a move that you need to be good enough that you can counter.
To defend against, yeah.
That you can defend against. And then you just repeat it. Incredibly boringly, you just repeat it. Get Dark Reapers out, fire twice, get Dark Reapers back in. Yeah.
Fire effect now behind the ruin.
Yeah, right?
There
So you just have a thing that you repeat time and again, and then you just are able to smash everyone that's not good. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because they just don't have a skill cap. And it's super boring. It's only but you save loads of mental energy. It's less stressful, it's less impact, it's not as hard on you. And then when you get to the later rounds and you have to really work hard in these Street Fighter tournaments, you have to put that really hard work in to play the game and actually win. And my analogy was that's kind of what playing Knights is like. You know, you're just there, and someone's like, you what? Say that again?
No, I just said you have a thing, just do it. That's fine. I was just piling on.
Yeah, like, so, and it's just like, and that analogy to me was like, because obviously loads of these things are quite fresh in my mind at the minute. And when you just wandered over, I was like, Nick, how's your game? And I've seen you before. Like, usually you go, yeah, I did this, deploy that. I think I deployed quite cleverly. But that was none of the conversation coming from you. You're walking over and going, yeah, I went first, Rob, and you didn't have many stuff left after. And I was like, okay. Like, and I know that wasn't every game that you had.
No, it was 3 out of the 5.
Yeah.
So Reapers and Reapers died nowhere.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Well, so the first game I had to try hard, and then the last game I had to try hard.
Yes.
But the middle 3 were fairly standard for me, just because comfortable games.
Yeah. So to quote people in the chat, I love you saying same concept as playing mono red in a big MTG tourney. Free wins to conserve mental energy, and that's what I mean. Knights get you free wins. Because I agree, Tom, if you can deal with Knights, then the Knight player then has to play the game. But if you can't deal with Knights, the Knight player is then just winning the game.
Yeah.
It also depends on how you deal with Knights, because if you're an army that just shoots Knights off the board, then the Knight player it's not really interactive with the Knight player. But if you're an army so let's say you're an army that blocks things off. So, for example, when you're playing Massimo Nikos, what Massimo can do with flyers, and a lot of people were doing, they take the Crimson Hunters, or they take the Raven Wings, or any kind of flyer, and because they've got Vector Dancer, they just block you.
Yeah.
And they swap places.
Yeah, he was kind of doing that. He was basically just flying them both diagonally across the table in front of me, blocking me off, charging some of his characters.
The problem for him there is he's on a Warhammer World board where there is no terrain.
Yeah.
So if there's terrain, it's much more easy to block you off because you can't walk through the terrain. Whereas if there's no terrain, you just sit the flyers kind of just opposite each other, and then you have a 2-inch gap in the middle, or slightly bigger because you've got the width of your base. And then you've got the length of the bases, and that's for blocking.
Yeah.
And then you've got a lot of guns in your army, so you can just walk within the 12-inch top range and just shoot them down and then just walk at them.
Yeah.
So, that was my analogy to you over the weekend, which is why I brought it up, right? I think, again, that's going to be part of a conversation that I'm going to have in the workbook, because identifying what you need, Chucklebutt just said, is winning everything. Yeah? And I'm like, identifying and that's the point. Is winning everything? No, but I've heard from loads of guys say things like, I played Warhammer today with Simon, and Simon was like, "Oh, I'm going to the tournament. I'm going to the finals. I'd like to win 3 games." So he doesn't want to win the finals. He wants to win 3 games.
Yeah.
You know, do you think my list can win 3 games, Rob? Yes, I think your list can win 3 games. So, like, you know, we had that conversation. I think it probably can win more than that. Depends how it's played. And that's my point. Some people don't set their goals as winning the tournament. Some people set their goals as going better than they have done before, or qualifying, or having a great weekend. And the mental stress lowering of nights, like, my mental stress is a lot lower. I have to do a lot less. It's a lot less hard work. Sometimes I'll get a free win.
When I went to Twisted Fate tournament, my friend Paul, he hadn't been to a tournament in a long, long time, and his goal for the weekend was to win 1 game out of 3. So he just set himself that one little goal. He did take Unari with Reapers, so it was pretty easy for him.
Yes. Right, so I want to get back to, because this moves on to my next conversation, and it's from our good friend Danosis. There's a bit of that he said. My conversation there is that's a bit of a double-edged sword, though, Rob, as this could lead you to easily underestimating your opponent, especially in the early rounds when you're more likely to come across a player with less skill. Yeah. Let me just read what everyone's saying. One of the most underestimated.
Well, you always need to treat your opponent with respect. You can be confident that you're going to win, but not cocky. Don't assume they're going to make stupid mistakes and therefore you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah. As both players and organizer, I see it all the time. Even good players, says Mr. Mephisto, make more mistakes the more the tournament goes on because they're not locked in mentally. Yeah. Win 1 game was my goal at Heat 1, says Servitor. So there we go. So some people don't have win a tournament. And that's why my argument is, someone's like, you know, if we just did a show, like a thing today, and the whole show was just like, I'd like to do well at Warhammer 40k, like, by 3 nights, you'll win 2-3 games. Yeah? Like, that's cool. That's above the average. Yeah. You know? Right. So, leading on to what, about the skill cap thing that Dionysus has just brought up, leads us on to our second conversation of the day. Yep. If you guys are ready. I know you guys have had these notes before, so you might be prepped. So, I'll get my notes out. So, this is, what do we do about gamers? This is a question for everyone. What do we do about gamers who can't compete at a professional level? And what do I mean by professional level? So, I would say that being able to complete a game with your army is a professional level of a game. I'd say that's fair.
Or just a competent level.
As a competent level, no, maybe that's just a competent level. Maybe I should just change this to what do we do about gamers who can't compete at a competent level at tournaments? Yeah. So this obviously leads into from my slow play game that I had at the weekend. What do we do? So I'm going to throw it out there first. Nick?
An idea that just popped into my head. I think they should maybe have some sort of like terms and conditions that you agree to as you buy the ticket. So that they can in effect use against you when you're at the tournament. So like when you're buying a ticket, you say, I'm at a competent level of skill that
not professional. We go for competent.
I've got the games.
So I state that buying this ticket, I am at a level of playing Warhammer that I'm able to finish a game within 2.5 hours.
I mean, there's a couple of things in there. Number one, that would require a Warhammer person to have ever read a pack ever.
Well, that could be like, so as you're buying the ticket, you know, like I agree to the terms and conditions.
Yes.
You can't buy your ticket until you've ticked that or read that paragraph or sentence or whatever it is. So then when you get to tournament, because you've already agreed to that, as the tournament's going on, if like the first game of the Orc player, if he didn't finish his game, the TOs could go to say, you didn't finish your first game, you only got through 3 turns, we'll put you on a warning. If it happens again, it's your second turn, we'll disqualify you from the event. Yeah, so that gives him a bit of a kick up the arse to
agreed, but
finish the game.
So that would be on their third game, you'd say.
But
they potentially tanked 2 people's opportunity.
Yeah, this is the thing. So, but if it's not your fault and you're on a... So let's say you play a game round 1, you play against someone slow. I mean, you both get a warning, right, if you have another slow game with a problem. Well, the other person who isn't responsible is less likely to have a slow game than the person who is. I mean, it's possible they get another slow game. It is possible. But, so Caledonian Uprising had quite a good way of dealing with this. So what they had was, okay, if you don't finish a game, it's marked down as a slow game.
Mm-hmm.
But and then at the end of the event, we counted all the number of slow games. If you had this many, you get this penalty, and this many, you get this penalty. But if the person you had a slow game against has more slow game points than you, that doesn't count towards your slow game total.
So if they...
So let's say I had a slow game against someone.
Yeah.
In round 1. And then I had another slow game against someone later on in the event. I would have 2 slow game points.
Okay.
But let's say the first round opponent who I had a slow game with had 2 further slow games later on in the event.
Yeah.
That would mean that slow game point that I got from round 1 is taken off. So I only technically had 1 slow game.
Okay.
And this is what they do at Caledonian Uprising.
Yeah.
Caledonian Revolution, I think. I think it was Caledonian Revolution.
Okay.
I didn't do much stuff.
What do they do at the ETC, Tom?
Sorry?
There's just no way that would be allowed at the ETC.
At the ETC,
Well, you just have massive round times, right?
At the ETC, you have 4-hour rounds, and you still have people not finishing games, but you had Neil walking around and the rest of the refs who would crush your balls if you were behaving in any manner that was untoward.
Okay, so let's just see what the guys in the chat are saying before I bring up where I think I'm at with it. I play all these. I play all these events because I want to play good opponents as well. I want to meet people and play challenging games. Mm-hmm. So I do have a question for everyone in a second before I finish off. The Cease says this is not a good idea. He's a little bit worried about all of this. Let's make 40k. This is in quotation marks. Let's make 40k tournaments way more scary for newcomers. I completely agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll approach that in a second as well. Diagnosis. I fucking read the packets and I TO well, and nobody who came to my event read the packet. I was royally pissed.
I mean, when you're TOing, you should probably have read your own bloody...
You probably should have written it, yeah.
Yeah.
I would be asking TO's money back if games were not finishing, says Ixtab. LRV's comparing it to Magic the Gathering. You know what you're getting into. Warnings are tighter with more severe or higher. A word I don't know. I think it's on the organisers to advertise and enforce their events properly. I would agree with that as well. It's your responsibility to finish the games. And then speaking as Games Workshop is actively seeking influence at indie events. Exactly. It could be the problem be that Games Workshop will never disqualify anyone at their own event unless it's a safety issue. There's a third party model. Yeah, they're not very interested in the integrity of the game, and that's what we're discussing here. Mm-hmm. I would still ask them to highlight it. So the judge at the weekend for me, so Games Workshop's judge, didn't then disqualify the person, and he then allowed that person to play. And as stated earlier on, in my 5th game, I watched the gentleman's opponent after his first turn just pack up at 45 minutes left on the clock. They'd had a turn each. That was it. Which isn't a challenging game. So my follow-up question, before I talk about what I think could be done, is, Nick, would you rather play a field, so let's say 100 people at a tournament, would you rather play at a tournament with 100 people who are better than you, just let's say there's some metric for us knowing that, or 100 people who weren't as good as you?
I would rather go up against people who are better than me, because that's why I play tournament games and just games in general, because I want to be challenged mentally, because I enjoy that and it's fun. So if you're playing against people who are rubbish and slow, it's not particularly challenging for you. It's boring.
Agreed.
So yeah.
Tom? And the chat, obviously.
Assuming there are 100 people better than me. Yeah, that one.
Did you say there's no one better than me?
I said
in some sort of imaginary world.
Yeah, in some imaginary world where there are 99 people better than me. And
like the C says, would you rather fight 100 Rob-sized Nicks or 100 Nick-sized Robs? Which I think is fair. And I'm not talking about people who intentionally play slow. I'm more talking about people whose skill level isn't necessarily up to what we would, and we don't have that. Like, that's the problem with first round draws, right? Like, or maybe even second round draws. You know, you win a game, cool. It's the other person's won a game. But now you're playing someone and, like, do they still have full grasp of the game, realistically? You might not get into what you would consider to be your comfort zone as a competitive game until games 3, 4, 5. Or maybe not even then. So you're required to get to round 4. I think you should be able to accrue multiple warning in the same game. but I think that's hard with 100 people and there just being a single TO. So for me, I'm just going to throw my suggestions out there and see what you guys think, because I've been mulling it over for a while. First off, I think 2 players, if they don't finish the game, they should just both lose. And that is stated in their ticket price. That's just done. Yeah. So as an example, had that been enforced when I was playing the Orc guy, I'd have probably called the T over after deployment.
Earlier. Yeah.
I'd have said, look,
because the onus is on you and your opponent to finish the game.
Yeah.
There's because if that's not in place, there's an incentive for the person who might want to slow play with the Orcs to slow play you.
Exactly. Yeah, and even a draw is a positive, right?
Yeah.
It's not a negative. Tom, your thoughts?
On the slow players?
No, not on people who intentionally play slow, on people who can't play slow.
Sorry, I had a massive sneeze when you first asked the question. I've been muting my microphone so you don't have to hear me sneezing and burping and all that stuff. So
yeah,
it's harsh because you want to be as welcoming as possible, but at the same time, if you are coming and you're not able to finish games, you are ruining 5 other people's weekends.
Perfect. I think I can solve this then, because I think I can solve this with the next part of my story.
Okay.
When you buy tickets for an event, you should tick one of 2 boxes, and you have to pick one of 2 boxes. I am an experienced player, or I am not an experienced player.
Or I am good, or I am bad.
Yes, either of those 2. Yeah. And so if you happen to listen to how strength of schedule works, so a lot of people don't really know how secondary objectives works, and this is because I was listening to a podcast called Just Saying. This is why I learned it. I think this is really cool. So the way it would work at a tournament like we have in traditional Warhammer at the minute is, let's say me and Nick win 5 games each, but the 5 people Nick played didn't place as highly as the 5 people who I played. Because of the strength of schedule, I place higher than Nick does. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how many kill points I got. It doesn't matter about anything else. It just matters that the 5 people I beat did better than the 5 people Nick beat.
Because that basically means we got to the same place, but it was tougher for you to get there.
100%.
You played higher quality players.
Exactly. And now that obviously is a little bit challenging if you start off with everyone in the same pool on game 1. However, if you aren't very good at Warhammer and you know you're not, you just go, I'm not great. But if you are good, yeah, then you're going to tick the I'm good. And ticking the I'm good box means, if you're playing a strength of schedule tournament, means that you're going to play someone else's good. So everyone in your pool of good players is more likely to do better than everyone in the low pool of players. Does that make sense? Tom?
Sorry, yeah. So that's the strength of schedule as a tiebreaker, right?
Yes.
Makes absolute sense. It happened to me at London GT again. This happened to me for the last 2 years at London GT. And it makes total sense to me, because if you're playing harder players and getting the same result, you performed better as far as I'm concerned.
So the CS is saying, I am Tony Grepando, I am a bad player. But being a bad player means that you're in the pool of people who are bad players, and then beating them means that if you win 5 games, the people in the pool of good players are going to play everyone else who's statistically good. And then those bad players. So what you're going to end up, let's say we'll split the field real simple to do maths. We'll pick 80 people. 40 are bad players, 40 are good players, let's say. Not bad players, because that's the wrong way to describe them. Yeah. Less experienced players or newer players. Yes. And this way you encourage newer players to play, because they're like, I'm going to go play in a small field. Yeah. So they're there with their 40 people. Now 20 of them are going to win. And then in the experienced field, 20 of them are going to win. Now, you would hope, based on our conversation, that the 20 people who were good, kicked the fuck out of, but who lost, beat the 20 people who also lost and don't think they're very good. Roughly.
So, I've got a good analogy, I think, anyway. Have either of you been watching much of the Counter-Strike Face It Major?
Nope.
So there's been a major going off in London for Counter-Strike, which is one of the bigger events that Valve runs for Counter-Strike over the course of the year. And the way that they run it is they have a play-in stage. So what they have is they had a challenger stage and a legend stage, I think it was called. So you had, I think it was 16 teams in the first bracket. And these were all teams that had qualified by their own region from like minor events and what have you. and then they all play each other, and then a few of those teams got through. I think it was 8. So 8 of those teams then go through to the next round, where they play the invitational teams, the teams that have historically performed best at the major. So it's kind of like you've got all the people who are less experienced, they play against each other. The ones that perform the best then go on to play against the more experienced teams.
Yes, that sounds good. That sounds good. I think that's interesting, but that's team-based again.
It is team-based, but it's a similar kind of... I don't know.
There's a couple of good things that are saying in the chat. Carl Mack says we need a swimmer certificate for 40k. I couldn't agree with you more. That makes loads of sense. But I think the key bit, because what I really want is people to interact better. That's what I think would be great. And I think, like, LLV's made it simpler for me. Basically, if you take the I'm not very good box, you can't win the tournament. Is basically what's happening. Now, Dionysus said people are lie and people are going to overrate themselves and put themselves in the I am good box. Yeah, but eventually, if you're running a good tournament or even a professional tournament, what you can do is just pick the people who are in your 40 people block based on the rankings or tournaments they've been at before or their performance that year. A bunch of different things, right? And you're like, well, what about that outsider who does incredibly well, you know, and just wins 5 games and smashes everyone and makes everyone like it, but he only comes 7th because of strength of schedule. It's like, everyone's taken note of him. The next tournament, he's going through. Yeah? That's...
So the divide is just for the first round? So it's not like
the divide is just for the
there's
first
2
round.
Tournaments going on side by side.
No,
it's just
and it's to encourage new people. Yeah. It's to make the opposite of like what was before, that like you make 40k, you make tournaments more scary. You make them simpler, and you make it better for the people who think they're better too. They're like, I can finish a game, no problem. And then there'd be some harsh rules in place. Don't finish your game, you both lose. Yeah, that pool of people.
Is that for the inexperienced players as well?
It's for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you set some criteria up for what is it a person who can even attend the event. Have you played every mission with your army? Yes. Like you've got to check a load of things. You know, like a checklist of, you know, these are the things I should do before I go to this tournament. You know, that I think is pretty valid and fair.
I think that's a good idea, but again, I think people will still not do that. They can easily lie on that checklist. So, yeah, I've played all those games on my list. No problem. Like, you've got no way of you can ask them to tick it, but you've got no way of proving that.
Well,
or guaranteeing they actually did do that.
Just to go off Karl Mack's point as well, so there's a Japanese game called Character, which has a ranking system, but it's not like a points-based ranking system. So you have like a rank of S, A, B, C, D, E, and so on. And effectively, the way you get to you start at rank E, and the way you get up to the next rank is by winning an event. And that's quite easy to demonstrate or prove, right? Because you can take a screenshot of an event, or you can bring the trophy in and say, look, I won this. So if you won an E-tier event, you can bring the E-tier trophy and say, look, I'm rank E now. I can play in a rank D event. Or if you want to go and play in a rank S event, you can say, look, I won a rank A tournament, therefore I can play in rank S. I don't know if that's...
that's super relevant, and you can do that by 1 day. All I'm proposing is like, now there isn't, everyone's going to be out there and say, you know, there's loads of problems. And there definitely are loads of problems currently. But the way we'll defeat those problems is slowly picking apart each element until we get to a place where we're in a much more comfortable place. And some of those things are really important, which we don't have, or other games or competitive sports don't have. One of those is we all want new people to come and play Warhammer. We all want that. Like it's like a carte blanche.
Well, when they released the Warhammer Conquest magazine, there's lots of people buying up multiple copies to stop people getting into Warhammer.
I mean, 10 copies of 30 Marines banging, I'll have that. That was all right. But,
but I think the path to going through it is, number one, having these challenging conversations, which is why I'm incredibly fortunate that Nick, you're on the show, that Tom, you're on the show, and that I've got the Twitch chat and everyone who listens to the podcast, because we're willing to have these conversations and have them in constructive ways. No one wants to... I definitely don't want to be right. I want us to eventually be right and get that into a place. You know, so being having new players in something we want, but then there should be the Italian guy should not have been at the tournament. I don't give a fuck if he's new. I don't care. Like, at that point, he impacted my game.
Selfish.
It was selfish. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been playing at that tournament. And there is no argument anyone's going to make that makes me think different. I didn't play a game because he couldn't play a game. Doesn't make any sense. Like, at all. So, like, there's no argument that anyone's going to ever have that makes me think that guy can play. So if there's a standard for, because there is a standard, and I've met it, whatever the fuck he was at the weekend, that can't play. You know, there must be a basic level that we could all agree on. You know, you must finish your game.
Yeah.
You know, there's a good example.
Yeah.
And then you push harder. You need to know all your rules. Oh shit! No one wants to do that.
Need to know all your AP values.
Well, me and Nikos don't know our own stratagem rules, so like that's us out already.
Yeah.
So Carl Mack's saying, I'm just going to read what everyone's saying in the chat. So I'm just going to read it out. So it's Carl Mack says it's totally not relevant, but racetrack days have something similar. When you book your session, you have to pick novice, intermediate, or expert. You book it knowing full well who's going to be in your session. If you turn up to an expert session in your MX-5, you better be able to pedal. That seems super fair. Chuckleberry, if you both lose rule, would put me off going all together. I've been slow played in my one and only tourney, and it would suck if I got penalised because he was useless, greasy shit guy. Agreed, but he also would lose.
Yeah.
Like, and if you know that ahead of time, and it's slow playing you have legitimate reason to say, I think you're playing really slow. Please hurry up, else it affects me and you.
Yes.
So let's get the game done.
And then the follow-up. So I heard something great that was being done at Nova. I'm going to read the rest of the stuff in a second.
Yeah.
It was being done at Nova where they were doing round calls. So they were like, hey guys, 20 minutes has gone by. You should have finished deployment. Hey guys,
really cool.
40 minutes have gone by. You should have finished round one. And it gives you a mark. And the TO is taking responsibility there for the event. A lot of people say, oh, it's down to you and me to finish the game, Nick. It's like, okay, cool. But like, what's the appropriate amount of time? Like, really, 2.5 hours round, you've got an hour and 25 minutes each. No, hour and 15 minutes each. Yeah? So you should be allotting that. And the chess clocks might still be a great idea that everyone's super keen on. But at the same time, there are ways to abuse the chess clock in loads of different ways. And I'm not saying that's... And this is just simpler. This is just... It's round one. By the way, we should have finished round one, mate. You need to hurry up.
Yeah. What I like about that solution as well, like, if you have a situation where there's a really experienced player who's a bit dominant and maybe, let's say, for example, a bit of a bully.
Yeah.
And you've got a newer player who's a bit shy and a bit nervous and doesn't like confrontation. If they think that player is playing slow, deliberately, or whatever, and it's affecting their game, they might not feel confident enough to say something.
Yes.
But if there's the TO helping that person by announcing you should be now on this turn, that gives that shyer player more, I'm imagining that gives that shyer player more confidence and authority in when they say it to that person. We should be hurrying up now.
Well, you could just do it the other way.
Because like, the TO is helping that person.
You could
out.
just be like, you know, like, mate, you can make the rounds like 2 hours, 40 minutes, and you're spending that extra 10 minutes on admin, where you're just going, hello everyone, you should be finished deployment. Can I have any hands up where deployment's not finished? 5 hands raised up, and you walk over. And the judge walks over and is like, why haven't you finished?
That'd be weird.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, why haven't you finished deployment? You know, if you don't finish the game, you're both going to lose. Yeah, and then the TO is telling both players off. He's not telling an individual player off. He's like, why haven't you finished? Round 4. Has anyone not finished round 4 yet? We haven't. Why? Well, there's this massive combat, but as soon as that's over, round 5 will be quick. Cool. Hurry the fuck up. You know, I don't like. If people can't self-manage and it's an issue for everyone in the community, someone needs to be an adult in the room and go and make everyone behave. That's what I think. You know? Yeah. I remember being a doorman at 18 years old and there was a group of like old lads in, they must have all been in their 40s on the piss. And they all started doing chin-ups on the mezzanine bar that I was working on. I was 18, I looked like I was like 3 stone wet through. And I walked over and I was like, lads, stop doing this. And they were like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? I'm old enough to be your dad. And I was like, well, why don't you behave like it? Like, it was that easy. Like, it's that easy. Like, be an adult. Like, just go up, say to someone, stop being a knob. Yeah?
That's easy.
Isn't that easy? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That's my experience. Anyway, reading out the chat. Dino Titan Edition says, Nikos, you say you want to be mentally challenged. I'm more of a painter. Would you say Talking about
So
being
Nikos,
challenged in the
you're
game.
mentally challenged.
I'm more of a painter. Would you say expect your enemy to give his best? Would you say in return, if well-painted minis are important for your opponent, would you try to paint them to a high standard?
Yes, I always try to paint my miniatures to a high standard.
Yeah, I readily admit that mine fit the criteria for this weekend of barely, and they were piss poor. But I also quite like putting nice armies on the tabletop when I can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I just bought an airbrush just so my armies aren't on the front to God.
There we go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Abomination.
They are awful.
So just seeing what everyone goes in this chain. Watch that one in my eyes. Chuckabee says, say I'm new and timid though, I wouldn't do that. My day then sucks and I don't go to another tournament as a result. Yes, but while that person is timid, and I appreciate that person is timid, is having a tough day, we can't be held at the pace of the slowest member. It's so the guy from this weekend, who couldn't speak English, the Italian guy who I played, he couldn't communicate about the game I was playing. Am I then to learn Italian?
Yeah.
There needs to be a level that's not appropriate.
Yeah.
I probably won't go to that tournament over in the UK because I don't speak English. Fine, have an Italian tournament. I'm going to go now to an Italian tournament in Italy and then just not talk their language.
Sorry.
I'm like 8 shots, strength 8, and they'll be like, and just give them some dice.
Well,
they'll be like, what the fuck are you saying?
That might not work because most people do speak English.
Yeah, most people speak English. That's a bit of an issue for me.
I speak English. That's a problem.
Bob Cheese. A problem with ticking I'm experienced and I'm a noob is that it could be manipulated somewhat. There should be a system in place where every tournament player should be registered online and game history would determine which group you should be in. And I agree with that as well. I'm just talking initially because these aren't things that I haven't thought about, and these aren't things that I don't think we could plan. But I just think it's interesting. You'd have to call player turns, not battle rounds. That sounds fair.
Mm-hmm.
I love the shout outs, then you call a judge, and when they call you should be on turn 2 and the other person sorts out. Could come up with a rough outline of timers rounds, so when we all know at what point start calling your opponent out on it. Yes. The Cease, I'm TOing a tournament Feb, and I'd love to do chess costs, but the cost to buy them is all high. Unicorn John, I did 6 to 8 weeks of prep practicing my list for Heat 1. I bought movement trays, I made reference sheets to help me and my opponent. I felt it was my responsibility to play the standard to my best. Yeah. Big love to you, John. Yeah. You're a credit to the hobby. Jibu Studio. The guys who ruin it need to be found out and removed. There probably will be a few people who suffer because of it, which will be unfortunate. Yeah. Classic Starling quote there.
Unfortunate.
From Jibu Studio.
They must be removed.
They must be removed.
Execute Order 66.
So, John, Tom, anything else from that? I hope this doesn't sound heavy-handed. It's meant to be constructive.
Mate, we're being very light today. It's lovely.
Yeah. It's about obviously that guy he's ruined one of your games and maybe 4 other people's games. So it might seem harsh on some people, but it's for the benefit of everybody else.
But is it harsh? I'm not allowed to go and play at Wimbledon.
No one ever wants to disqualify someone or not allow someone to come to a tournament.
I'll give you a good example. Did you see Eric the Eel at the Olympics?
Who's Eric the Eel?
So Eric the Eel. Now I'm gonna hash this story because I know the bare bones of the story. But Eric Eel is basically an African member of the Olympic sports team, or he was like a friend of the runner, yeah. And they were like, we need someone to compete in the swimming, and Eric was like, free trip away, I'll have it, yeah. Gets to the swimming match, yeah. It's probably they're not called matches, I don't know.
Match.
Yeah. Gets there, dives in.
Yeah.
And honest to God, nearly drowns. Yeah? Can't swim from one side to the other. Yeah? It's
Cool Runnings.
Yeah, no, apart from like Cool Runnings. Yeah? You can't swim from one side to the other. It has to get rescued, I think, at one point. It's comical. Yeah? It's filmed on TV, the whole thing. Yeah, that's fine. You plug your tournament. That's fine, and we'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, Nikos, no one was there going, oh, well, we should let other people who can't swim at this tournament. They were like, after that, Rob's a fairly reasonable gent. It must have been really bad for him to be this wound up. Honestly, I really don't feel wound up. What I don't want to do is be aggressive. What I want to do is be constructive. Because how do we stop that happening again to everyone? Because that would put a new player off as much as anything else, right?
Yeah, definitely. You want if it's going to be a problem, you want a plan in place to deal with it. Definitely. You don't want other people's tournaments being ruined because we want Warhammer tournaments to be bigger and better, more people get into it. For sure.
Yes. Yeah. Eric the Eel, though.
No Eric the Eels.
You should. I'm pretty certain it was called Eric the Eel. Let me just double check.
What's this Eric the Eel stuff?
Were you not listening to my story, Tom?
African swimmer.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, my bad. Yeah. I just missed out his name.
Okay, so he wasn't even African. Hold on. Eric the Eel. Let me give you the stats. So it's Eric Musambani, a swimmer from Equatorial Guinea, nicknamed Eric the Eel at the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games. He swam a 100-meter freestyle on his own for the first heat in the time of 1 minute 52 seconds. He set a new personal best and Equatorian Guinean national record.
National record.
What a legend!
Speaking of national records, on the Discord in record time.
You pardon me?
I said, speaking of national records, I just got back on the Discord in record time. Well done.
Good.
Did you not notice I was gone?
No.
I heard some bleeps.
No, we didn't hear anything.
No, my Discord crashed.
Thanks for gifting Carl Mack a subscription. I love it. Wouldn't something like DCI points be... Anyway, if anyone out there has got an answer to this, or thinks our answers are ludicrous, tweet us, Facebook us, send us a message, get involved in the conversation. We really want to have this conversation. I don't know loads of people that are. And it's not because we're like, oh my God, 40k is broken. It's more like, how do we have because it's the same conversation in Age of Sigmar. It's the same conversation about wargaming. How do we achieve what we're all looking to achieve? And a great first point is, how are we going to achieve, we need to define what we're trying to achieve. Like we said, Servitor earlier is like, I just want to play one game. I just want to win one game in the heat. Cool. You've identified that, go play 3 nights. I'd like to go to a tournament where I know everyone is going to finish their game. Cool. This tournament's making inroads to try and make that to happen. Yeah. That's great. It also gives TOs like some information, like what do people want? They want to finish their games.
To play games?
So thanks, Carl Mack. Get stamps on your gamer card if you have a competent tournament. That's cool.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's cool. Like, let's get an app where everyone's got a profile and you can upload
I finished
like
all
Uber.
my games.
Yeah, like
Badge.
Uber. We'll get like that Chinese social credit score. Yeah?
There you go. It's like Uber reviews. After you play a game, was this man a knob?
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so there's loads and loads of options that I don't even know anything about yet. We've talked about it enough, but like Facebook us get on Facebook or Twitter, message us or tweet us, and we'll do it. Me Smash, thanks for gifting J-Boo Studio some subscriptions. Right, and the final topic. Do you guys want to cover the final topic?
Yes.
I'd love to cover the final topic. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay. What is the final?
I'm very excited for this one. I'm ready.
Okay. All right, Tom. So the topic comes from my second game, where I didn't know what that my opponent could do a thing. Yes. The question is, how do we best learn what our opponent's armies do and get complete system mastery? And if you guys don't know what system mastery is, it's all knowledge of all things that could ever happen.
Yes, it's in the glossary.
Sorry, you go ahead, Tom.
You go first, Nicholas. It's okay, I'm still straight.
I was going to say, are you talking about, so this is when you turn up to the table.
Yes.
And is it a pre-game conversation, how you learn what the opponent does,
knowledge
of the game before you turn
I've asked the question, and it's down to you to break it up as much as you want.
Well, so I would, when you sort of posed that question to us early in the week, I kind of thought the way I sort of learn about the game is I like to listen to a lot of podcasts.
Can you guarantee all those podcasts are well researched and actually telling you the right thing?
You can't. But if you listen to enough, you can cross-reference the data that you get.
Okay.
So if enough podcasts say the same thing, and they're often going to say one of the best combos or the best stratagems, and multiple different podcasts will mention it and talk about it. So you go, right, that's one thing I need to watch out for. And then just generally playing games. Having experience playing against different armies, but that obviously depends on your gaming group and how many games you get to play. And So mine would be podcasts, playing games experience, and then like reading your codexes.
Yes.
It's a good start. Yeah.
And then like questions you might ask your opponent at the start of the game, but then that's the question of how much information do I need to reveal to my opponent?
See now, so interesting. So first off, good conversation for us all to have. Tom, I know you've got a say to have, and I don't want to jump in there before you.
No, you're fine, man. You go for it, man.
So we don't play poker.
No.
So poker's a closed game where I have information that you don't have, Nikos. Like you don't readily have access to know that I have 2 aces or a 2 and a 1. Or there's no ones, but you know what I mean, a 2 and 5. You don't know that, so it's closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bluffing you with information. All information in Warhammer is completely freely available. Yeah, it's not freely available, which is an important point. To have good system mastery, I have to buy every codex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now I could just listen to podcasts. Pardon me, Tom?
Or acquire the codex.
Or acquire the codexes.
Acquire them somehow.
Yeah, fill in those as much as you need. So, but all information is effectively out there in the public sphere. So when I play you in a game, there's nothing that you have, Nikos, that isn't publicly written down on your army list or isn't available in your book or your cards. But it is unreasonable for you to give me your codex and say, you're about to play this.
Scan through this now.
Yeah,
5
scan
minutes.
and know everything in this in the already round that started in 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd bring that up when we talked about that. Tom, go on.
Okay, so when I first started preparing for events, when I started going to tournaments in 5th edition, the first thing I did was go on dakadaka.com and ask what all the meta lists were. So effectively what I was trying to work out was what everything does, and if I play it, how I'm going to necessarily deal with that. So what I'd like to do is just try and keep on top of it's so cliche to say the meta, but I'm going to do it anyway. So keep on top of what's good. So keep on top of recent tournaments, events, and what's doing well at events. If they release list documents, I keep on top of that as well. But apart from that, mostly it's just a case of if I know that these are going to be the most common list archetypes that I'm going to see. So, for example, one list archetype is the Castellan, Bunch of Guard, Smash Captains. That's one list archetype. And I'm going to keep
list archetype, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to keep track of about 12 lists, probably. 12 to 20 lists, something like that. It's very vague, but whatever. So I'll keep on top of that, so I have a rough idea of what these armies do. So if I come up against it on the table, I'm right, okay, that's how that list works. How am I going to deal with it? There's a few examples, so Death Watch is a really good example, because there's so many different ways to build Death Watch, and there's so many just weird little tricks in that book. For example, Death Watch squads, you can put one Inceptor in there, and the entire squad gains a flight keyword, which means they can fall out and do whatever they want. There's lots of little tricks in that book. So in that case, it's just a case of me trying to cram information as quickly as I can, or ask leading questions as to how things are going to go. Like, is there any way that these guys can move across the board quickly? For example.
And Ixtab's making a good point there. Hi, Matty Jim Bob Jr. He says, hi, Nick.
Right, Matt.
All right, Matt.
All
right, Matt. Ixtab makes a good point. All this explaining sounds like it could eat up a lot of time of, as we've already discussed, time that could be.
Yeah, but it's about doing it efficiently.
Yeah. Me too. And I ask the same questions to my opponent if I don't know it. Hi all. So really cute thing. John said, honest wargamer rundowns help me get the gist of a faction. That's sweet. I appreciate that. That's why we do them. We're back to them next week. I'm not sure how I feel about gotcha moments. I feel like if I ask my opponent, do you know what Electro Priest do? And they say, yeah, man. Then if later in the game they dish out 20 mortal wounds and have a 2 vulnerable save, then it's a 2+ save. Then vulnerable save, sorry. Then it's on my opponent. Yeah, I think the issue is, realistically, again, system mastery. So Tom, you take the cream of what was out there, and then you know that's probably. But then, how many times in the past?
That's common.
Pardon me?
I know that that's going to be common, and therefore there's a decent chance I'm going to round up to it. So it's more efficient for me to prepare for a Catachan and Knights army than it is for me to prepare for some Imperial Fist bolter drilling army.
Couldn't agree with you more. But if you were to come against those armies, you would ask a bunch of questions, right?
Yeah.
And
why is this list 1 games? Is probably a good one. not explicitly. Obviously, you need to just work out why it's winning games so you can deal with the tricks.
So, would you say, in all honesty, this is a question to everyone in the chat, you two, would you say do you think it's possible to know all of the tricks of every codex that's now out?
At the same time, no.
It is possible.
Like the people who know all the numbers in a phone book?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's reasonable, even from a really high-end gamer, to expect them to know everything that all of the codexes do?
No.
No. I think it's physically possible if you put a lot of effort in and had that type of memory that could
remembering it all at the same time and having it all at the forefront of your mind every time. So let's say I play against Deathwatch Army, which has 1,000,001 tricks, and because it's not necessarily efficient to be thinking of all the tricks because not all of them apply. So your opponent's not going to use all of them, and a lot of them will be invalid anyway because they don't have the correct keywords or the correct units to use stratagems, for example. So, for example, Vindicated stratagem. I don't know what it's called, but no one runs Vindicators. Your opponent doesn't run Vindicators. You can throw that out straight away.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But someone may.
Yes, someone may, and then you can remember it. But then they're probably sacrificing something else to get the Vindicators in there.
So that's my point. So I think so. Let me just read out what the guys in the chat are saying. So I want to stay with them because those guys are helping as well. Do it when the opponent is deploying his units. What does that do? Has it got any tricks? Now, I don't like the idea of asking has it got any tricks, because then Nick, you respond with, well, I don't want to give him my game plan away, right? So now, am I going to tell him my strategy?
If I was playing like my Chaos, my trick is generally Veterans of the Long War, shoot twice.
Yeah.
So I'll happily tell them that because that's just going to happen.
Yes. Okay. Xtab says, I think someone who can make this game their main income as you are trying to do, then it may be possible. But that would be a professional gamer effectively, which is what everyone has luckily been trying to push me towards, which is really nice. Danish just says, I don't know, man, people spending so much time on studying a game that's played for fun to me sounds like it sounds a bit like it's kind of autism. Like, so, but is it played for fun? Like, you have to define your type of fun. Like, so people say, who won that tournament? That guy. Yeah. Did he have fun playing? That wasn't what you said. No one has got an award for having the most fun at a tournament. There isn't one.
It could be an award.
There's an award for being a good sport.
Yeah.
There's an award for being a great dude. There's an award for painting a great army. But there is not an award for having had the most fun.
I think it should be, though.
I agree. Let's invent that award.
Make the award, yeah.
Like, and any TOs out there, the Honest Wargamer would like to sponsor this guy had the most fun at the tournament award.
Yeah.
And you can't measure fun. It's subjective. The guy that won's probably elated and is over the moon. He's going to go back to his partner, his friend, his girlfriend, and be like, oh, I won this trophy. And then they're going to be like, oh, mate, I don't care. I don't care about that shit. But they're going to be over the moon. So
nerds do. They appreciate me.
Yeah.
The rest of the tournament nerds. That's how it works.
So John's making a point. Great example. The less common stuff, no. Whammy TV, the chat didn't really know the combo of Praetorian Plate Relic on a Custodes Allosaurus Terminator. I don't expect people to. So that would be like 1,500 people watching and 2 professional commentators, both of whom are playtesters for the game. So all of those people didn't know, but Full Tilt for Knights or Rotate Iron Shields, they knew it for sure. So so I told everyone about Axe of Faith and my 2 strats, says JB Studio, but I didn't tell them the context. So I think that might be important. So what do you guys think as a solution? That's what I want to work. That's what I'm working towards. What's the solution? And I'm going to premise it with, in my opinion, and in the context of the solution we're creating, I don't think it's possible to learn well enough all of the tricks and strategies that an army can do.
No, particularly with like new armies are coming out. There's always more tricks and crazy things added to the game all the time.
Especially with FAQs because FAQs grossly change the shape of many units and armies, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing very briefly. I don't think you need to. I think you need to learn the important stuff, and then you need to be able to adapt on the fly to stuff that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you can do that by listening to podcasts in cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Chill.
I think asking questions at the start of the game is always a good one. You're never going to get all the information, but asking smart ones, and maybe, I don't know, like not just before the game, maybe during the game as well. Like, but then that might slow the game down a lot. If you ask too many questions.
But then that's part of the practice, right? So like you do ask questions anyway all the time. Well, what's the effective range of that shooting unit?
Yeah.
Well, it moves this much, and it can shoot this much. Cool. I've answered that question. We do that as part of the game process anyway. Let's say you're an hour and 15 minutes that you're allotted to. You have to fit into your questioning time as well, which is why I think the answer is a series of standardized questions that don't miss tricks. So as an example, hey, if I move any of my units in my movement phase, are you going to have the ability to fire or attack at them? Real simple. Yeah, and then your answer is no. Cool. Or yes, actually, if you get within 12 inches of X or this, you can do that. Nice. Hey, it's my psychic phase. Yeah, are any of your psychers within X? No. Like, do any of them have any auto denies, or do you have the ability to auto deny any of my psychic powers? Oh, actually, yeah, I do. You might remind your opponent, right, that they've got something, right? But like, I reckon that there probably is a list of standardized questions that you can just ask at the start of each phase, that are real simple, that are leading on purpose, so as you can learn, and to make sure you don't make a mistake. And there's also ones for you as well. As an example, like when you move your psyker in your movement phase, how many people have done this? Move your psyker in your movement phase, and then you say to yourself, because it's on your sheet or your crib, you say, is my shadow seer within 18 inches of my unit I want to make -1 to hit? Answer, yes. Yay me. Yeah, like now that's obviously part of playing the game, but almost all the way to lead yourself to the answers you need to do is by asking questions. And then you can do the same by just asking your opponent. All we need to do is make a list of what those questions are.
And also, well, I'd also say we need to learn how to answer those questions efficiently.
What we also need to learn how
to answer those questions if asked of us.
Yes, but we need to not be misleading.
Oh, of course, not be misleading, but also like you're not obligated to tell your opponent how you win the game. Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't think it. I
don't mean that in a negative kind of way or a kind of like a dishonest kind of way. But if someone asks like, how did your previous games go? It's like, oh yeah, all right. Tough games.
Yeah.
Rather than, oh yeah, I did this and then I pulled this on him and then that killed him and then I won.
Exactly. So I think that's the way. That means that we don't need to have complete system mastery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, which again I think is possibly impossible, especially if you play jankier lists.
It's almost like temporary system mastery. Like you have enough mastery for that game, so you have. Yes, I have a limited amount of space in my mind to think about things. Yeah, so for this particular matchup, I need to like delete all the Eldar stuff because I'm playing knights, and then download from you the information I need to fight knights.
Yeah. And maybe then instead of having to let's say we were to write a guide for each faction, let's say we were to fight a guide playing against knights, and we would go through our standardized questions that you would ask during a game, and you go, okay, what things does that codex do that are outside of those standardized questions? Like the ability to get up on a 4-up. Yeah. Like I would say that's a little bit outside of the standardized questions, but maybe are any of your units able to resurrect, or come back, but that probably is so left field.
Do they explode? Yes. Is there a way to make them explode easier? Or is there an auto explode or
yes.
Or whatever?
No.
Yes.
No, there isn't.
And asking all of those questions is going to make you a better gamer because you're going to have more relevant information. Knowing not to have your 5 units next to an Imperial Knight when it's about to blow up. You're going to kill it. You can say to yourself, I'm going to go kill that Imperial Knight. Yeah, but for some reason I've also moved 5 other units nearby, and my opponent's going to giggle with glee when he pays a command point. To make is it a command point to make it happen on 4
2 command points, 4 plus it.
2 command points on a 4-up, 4 plus it. So I think that's the way to go about it, and hopefully because what I'm looking to do is make myself a better gamer, but also make everyone else a better gamer. We all go on this journey together.
Bring the standard up so we can make the European Union good at 40k again.
Yeah, defeat them dastardly
We
Americans.
need to beat those damn North Americans, right? That's the
We do.
plan.
We need to sort out these upstarts.
Does that sound like a good idea, or does that sound like not a good idea?
It sounds like a great idea.
Mm.
I think, it's just getting yourself into. It's a good practice. It's a good practice to just ask questions rather than.
Yes, but the problem is, if someone's listening to this and then they're saying, "What questions do I need to ask?" The reason I'm suggesting it is because we're going to write it. You know, like that's the point. We're going to write it down and we're going to give it out for free, and we're going to give it out and say, "This is a bunch of questions you can ask." And hopefully, all those people who would tick, "I don't think I'm a great gamer," might be able to move themselves into the, "I think I am a good gamer," because that bunch of questions has helped them solve problems. I think.
I think most of this generally comes down to the important question of how do you most efficiently use your time to maximise how well you play a certain game.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. Like when I spoke to Kevin when I was playing his Death Watch, and I lost my unit to this stratagem I didn't know anything about, I didn't need to spend 2.5 hours learning, because that's what it took. Well, not quite. I think the game took 2 hours. But I didn't need to go to a tournament, play a game, take a turn, have another turn, just to learn that lesson. I could have learned that lesson by saying, "Hey, in the movement phase, do you have anything that can shoot or attack me out of sequence in a weird way?" "Oh yeah, I can do this thing." "Cool. I won't do this then."
I'm going to put a line of dice 12 inches away from you and never go in that zone ever.
There you go. That's pretty much,
And that would have saved. I don't need. I've learned that lesson now, so I should be able to make a bunch of questions, so I never have to learn that lesson again. But 2.5 hours is super inefficient to learn that, right, Tom?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Which is why it's important to come with at least a little bit of information in advance. Like, okay, here's a Death Watch. It works similar to the Marines. What cool stratagems do they have?
It's like redeploying Eldar.
Yeah.
That
Fantastic.
That one triggers me. Deploying.
It's very fun.
By the way, I'm just redeploying this unit now. You know, that's one that people never explain. No one ever tells you I can redeploy my Eldar units. I don't think.
I found a way, because I'm going to the Hall of Fame event at Sanctuary this weekend. I found a way to redeploy my entire Eldar army.
And Tom, you play with your Eldar. Do you explain to people that you can redeploy your Eldar as you're deploying? Like, and I don't mean that as in that's not accusational. I more just mean is it something you think that comes up?
If it's someone who I am pretty certain is a fluffy maestro, then I will. For example, if I can see they're going to deploy on the flank, I'm just kind of like, and I know it's gonna be an awful matchup anyway. I'm like, dude, just so you know, because I'm trying to make sure they at least have a little bit of fun. Because if I see a matchup, nothing yet, just.
But then again, and other people will be saying this in the chat, and I completely think this is fair. Or someone's listening at home and going, "Why am I going to tell him if he's making a stupid mistake?" And this is the thing. I think we need. I know, and Tom, I'm on board. I like to explain everything. Like when I was playing the weekend with my solitaire, I explained everything. I even let the guy with Abaddon. I was like, "Look, you've left a gap here in your lines. Yeah, look, it fits. Do you want to redeploy and just close that up?" And he was like, "No, that's cool." So.
This is going to sound awful, and I try not to explain it as best I can, but if I'm playing against someone who I think I'm going to absolutely beat the shit out of regardless, I will generally tell them. So if I'm telling you what all my tricks are, I'm cocky.
Yeah, but also what you're effectively saying is you'd like to limit how much information your opponent has when you think that you could be losing.
Yeah. And I do it when I think it's going to be a close game anyway. If I think that it's going to go my way, if I think the game's going to go my way, regardless of whether or not I tell my opponent, because I want to make sure they have as much fun as possible. If it looks like the game's going to be close, regardless of whether if I don't tell them, then I just don't tell them.
That's my point. Whereas, so what I think gamers have to expect is that people are going to be selfish with their game.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you ask me. I don't need to tell you.
Which is why I think system mastery can't be. I don't think that's possible, and I also don't think relying on the good graces of the people in front of you is possible. I think what it needs to be is the onus needs to be on yourself, and you need to learn how best to do it, how best to approach the game, and how best to approach someone.
Yeah, I think because it's not going to happen if we're playing a game and you start moving your models in your turn, and I go, oh, by the way, in my next turn I'm going to do this, so you might want to change your movement there.
Yeah,
we're not going to expect that.
Not going to expect that.
But if you ask me, while you're moving your models, or if I do this, can you kill them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as you ask, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna necessarily tell you the truth spontaneously.
Yeah.
Without prompt.
Absolutely. I might say, oh well, I'm probably like my solitaire is a good example. I'll say, someone will say, oh, here's my psyker, and I'm like, oh, great little target for my solitaire, and then they castle him up with their like good combat units, and I'm like, good. I actually want the combat units. Good. Like that's not anything that's misleading intentionally for the game. But I tell them what everything does and how it works. I probably over-explain too much when I play games to my detriment.
I think it's a problem a lot of people have. I like to explain a lot of stuff anyway because I find my rules cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I think
I have a lot of them.
So anything else on this subject? I think I know we've been talking a long time, but I think we've come up with some really constructive, cool stuff.
Yeah, defo.
No, I think more.
Yeah. Just if you want system mastery, be a knowledge sponge and listen to podcasts.
That's your tactic. You don't think the questions are more useful?
No. Yeah, I think listening to podcasts definitely helps. Things like that. Looking at the codexes, but learning to ask the right questions as you're playing definitely helps.
Yeah, and learning how your own army works so you can appropriately react to the answers to those questions.
Splinter MD says there needs to be a real balance there. Competitive environment can't be a tutorial either. John nailed it. It's a social contract. A checklist of questions can come off as problematic. Having a matchup. Splinter MD, have you ever played up against a checklist of questions? Like, that's my first... I don't know anyone who does that. Like, so... Coming off as problematic, the thought of it does, as opposed to experience of it does. Having a matchup guide is a great idea, but stopping to ask a question every phase in a tourney seems out of place in a sense. I ask many questions in every phase. What save is that unit? What toughness is that unit? Like, adding one question to that list per phase doesn't seem particularly high. What's the bravery of that unit? Like, what's its leadership? Have you got an invulnerable save? I don't think there's I don't think you can. I wouldn't add 900 questions to each phase, but maybe an overarching question.
Yeah.
That just turn up at the board with a clipboard.
Huh?
Just turn up at the table with a clipboard.
Can you please fill in this survey before I start my turn one?
How does your army win? Question one.
Fergie John says, the question checklist is a great idea, supplemented by codex-specific add-on, which I think is very good. You could have a cheat sheet for each codex, which you just go, cool, I'm playing Death Watch. You get it out for yourself, you pick it up, you read it, and you go, oh, actually, these are the 8 things I should remember about my army and how they interact with this army. It's a good call. Like, I'm playing Chaos. Oh, excuse me, do you have Death X? Yeah, I do on this Psyker. Cool, that's bad. I don't like that. Kill him.
Kill the Death X man.
Yeah. Would you want to have a copy of their stratagems? Would that be helpful? That's too much info, right? Someone gives me 20 stratagems.
Information overload at that point.
It's information overload. That's what I'm trying to get at. You don't need to know everything. In fact, knowing everything is a little bit too much. Right?
Yeah.
Like Tom said earlier, you don't need to know the kill shot stratagem if there's no predators on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or, that's it.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's cool. Right, I think we've done a great show today. I've been really excited about this.
Yeah,
I've been really pleased.
Yeah.
You guys for accommodating my disembodied voice, guys.
That's cool.
The cheat sheet is perfect.
Have to row a boat here.
Huh?
Floods and that. Yeah,
I'm on an island. To row a boat here.
Yeah. So we need to end on our classic new 40k high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is we need to pick a faction.
Which faction are we going to
Rachel,
insult today?
thanks for subscribing. Massively appreciate it. We need to pick a faction and we need to describe what the people who play that faction may look like. Thanks, Zyka, 888. My friend attends no retreat this weekend. What went through the list of the 50 people to see what they can do to his army. What are their strong points? Any gotcha moments? It took a long time. Yeah, I've only ever listened to the podcast, but this was a lot more engaging. Nice show. Thanks very much, and thanks for the input, everyone. Thank you. You guys have put some great input in. LLV wants orcs.
Orcs, I think, is a good one.
What do you guys think? Finally managed to catch the live show. Stream, love you guys. Thanks, Rachel. Love you too. Love all of you.
man.
All right, so people who play orcs. Are we ready, Tom?
Really loud.
Are we going for character, personality types?
We're going to need to go personality type. We need to go for chaotic neutral. There you go.
Okay. Nikos, do you agree or unagree?
Definitely chaotic. Not sure if they're neutral because they like to fight a lot.
I don't think they're evil, though. I think that's just their nature.
But do they ever do good things?
Do they ever do bad things?
Who?
Yeah,
Orc players?
Yeah, they go
All orc players
fighting all the time.
fantastic.
They slow play.
No, all orc players are great.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Because all orc players can finish 5 games with their orc army. If you haven't finished 5 games with your orc army, you aren't an orc player. That Italian wasn't an orc player. He was I have a collection of
Player with
models to
orcs.
show you very slowly.
How about Morgan? How about Morgan?
Huh?
There you go. Well, the guy who won the won inverted commas.
Didn't finish the games, did he?
No.
Right, so leave that out. You leave all the other orc players alone because of 1 or 2.
2, 3.
Jebens.
I can name a third one, but I'm not going to on here.
Yeah. Mental health issues for the ones who talk in orc speak.
I'm definitely going to be talking in orc speak when I play my orcs. Absolutely.
All right, so they're chaotic neutral. They probably will have a drink at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Only 10 a.m. It's earlier than that, isn't it?
What, 9 a.m. start?
9 a.m. start
Yeah,
beers.
yeah.
Bring their own beers or players.
Yeah.
BYOB.
Okay.
Probably have one of those drink hats.
Probably have a drink
With
hat.
straws.
Yeah, probably have a drink.
They're like peacocking. There you go.
Very extravagant, I'd say.
Very extravagant.
Who, orc players?
Yeah.
Yeah, very extravagant.
Yeah.
Very extravagant.
Don't
Probably with a class clown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't take themselves too seriously. But what do they look like, man?
We need to go for what would their favourite movies be?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Lord of the Rings.
What?
Why?
Just because of all the orcs in it.
Just because the orcs? I don't know. I think Mad Max is a good choice.
Yeah, Mad Max,
The
definitely.
Transformers films, because 1, they have bad taste, and 2, they'd like turning any old shit into vehicles.
Yeah, lots of explosions.
Plus the Transformer films fucking suck ass. But orc guys would be like, look at it! all Michael Bay
Look at all this
films.
lens flare.
Yeah, all Michael Bay films. Yeah, I agree.
Michael Bay. Apart from Pain and Gain, that was awful, but it didn't have any lens flare.
John says that they all drink road sodas. Also, orc players wear camo hats backwards, cannot see their hair, have a sexy trim beard. Oh, cheers, JB Studio. That's a fact. Animal House, they do like that. Dumb and Dumber the film. Definitely agree with that. Guardians of the Galaxy and Rambo.
Anything with Kevin Hart in it, because he does a lot of physical comedy.
What about Hunt for Red October?
There you
Nice.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
Just anything with lots of shooting in. Any war film.
Just anything with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it.
Yeah, anything with charging as well. Just
There
things
you
with
go.
like a lot of charging at stuff. Yeah. All war films. All war films.
They would have liked the last Matrix film when they're defending Zion.
Well, what?
When they're defending Zion with all the
With all the DACA.
all the DACA.
Yeah, they would have loved that. That would have been a glorious sight.
Yeah.
They also
Even-
love kung fu movies.
Even those Dread Knights look looted.
Yeah, they like all the kung fu movies where they just beat each other up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
everyone
the fighting.
Chuck Norris in it. There you go. Chuck
Just
Norris.
fighting.
everyone keeps saying Deadpool. He's an orc in red armor. So then,
I think he's got more character.
what food would orc players eat? What do they traditionally eat as food?
Chips. Lots of chips.
Mushroom- Potatoes.
I think all orc players are the people who on the menu they look to see if you can add an extra patty to the burger,
Okay.
and then ask how many patties can I add, and then add the maximum.
I think there was a
I don't know.
there was a burger place that me and some friends ordered from last weekend where one of the options was it was called the End of the World burger. So all the other burgers were like £5, but this burger was 20 quid. And it was like a dinner plate sized burger. So maybe they'd want one of those.
Also, all you can eat.
I don't know. I feel like Orc players go for something a little bit different because, I mean, Orcs haven't been very popular for a long, long time. So Orc players are just dedicated to that specific faction. So I think they'll go for something a bit different. I'm not sure they'll go for like mainstream meat products.
Just anything in vast amounts of quantity, right?
Yeah. So, oh, you mean so
they're
eating like bison and elk?
I mean, you go into Bugman's bar, everyone orders burgers because it's your first time and you never go, and then one guy just orders the dirty fries, and that's the Orc player. The dirty fries are a good choice, but it's a little bit different, a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe I can see that. So clothes. What would they wear if we discuss this? I personally think always arms cut off t-shirts.
Yeah, vests.
And possibly...
Hey, I love vests, man.
And possibly always waistcoats without a t-shirt or shirt at all. Just a waistcoat.
Yeah.
I see that a lot.
Bend over the table, the waistcoat's a bit big and my nips just fall out the sides.
They're the group of people most likely to be carrying around a Leatherman tool.
What's a Leatherman tool?
You know, like the multi-tool that you get out.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But that's pristine, that's never been used.
In case they ever need to give something a custom force field or something.
Mankinis. They also... Send me thanks for subscribing. I think they also would wear mankinis. Yes? No? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in my spare time.
Maybe they have a backpack, so a small person can also come along with them, like a small person to carry ammo for them.
Mini-me.
Nice.
Like an ammo grot.
Yeah. Are they all friends with a vertically challenged people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who they like to boss around.
Huh?
Who they like to boss around.
Or the Orc players are just very tall, so everyone's vertically challenged.
And as far as I'm aware, they all travel everywhere on motorbikes, but with sidecars.
Mm.
Oh, that sounds cool.
That's the only way that they travel places.
And never alone, just in a big...
They're never alone, yeah.
Strength in numbers. So they won't ever travel anywhere on their own.
Yeah.
Just like real motorcycle gangs.
Yeah, they're all 35 and live in the same house share.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are very happy about it.
Like, there's a big commune. Like a cult.
The Orc commune where they all live.
They're just riding scooters down the hallway.
Yeah. It's like that Pikey that won the lottery, and then he just put loads of cars out the back of his house. Did you ever see? It was like a guy that won the lottery, and then he just bought loads and loads of bangers and just kept doing Destruction Derby in his back garden until he ran out of millions of pounds. That's the Orc King.
He's definitely an Orc player.
I bet he put $2,000 aside just to buy one 1,500 point Orc army.
Yeah.
There you go.
So do you think all Orc players are very wasteful with their money?
No,
not very wise.
Orcs are expensive. I just think that they are.
How does he do?
Dedicated.
Yeah, they are dedicated. They love Orcs, and I love them.
Love Orcs.
They love Orcs. What else? What else? Political affiliations. They don't care.
Yeah, don't care.
No.
At all.
The Monster Raving Loony Party.
I don't think they even care.
No, who is that guy? Lord
Stupid
Buckethead.
Humies. Yes, Lord Buckethead.
On the stage.
Yeah, Lord Buckethead is an English.
I'll get a video and put it in the
But
Discord.
he's the next Prime Minister.
Is he?
Well,
I mean, the
he's
Orcs will
Prime
be
Minister
happy.
in waiting.
Yeah, the Orcs will be happy. So no political affiliations. So we've got how they dress.
What about hairstyle?
Hairstyle.
Top knot.
Top knot or Mohican.
Top knots or Mohican.
Yeah, if they can grow hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hair, clothes, favourite music. Anything turned up to 11.
Yeah.
Alright, I got me some Buckethead.
What about what's that genre? I can't remember that genre that Tom's invented.
What, emo rap?
Emo rap.
They don't listen to emo rap because it's not real, Nikos.
John found it on Wikipedia.
Yeah, John found one band on Wikipedia that had been badly mislabeled. Punk. Yeah, they definitely listen to punk all day long.
Some metal as well.
Yeah, punk and metal at full volume. I
Yeah.
think they all wear Doc Martens as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
Big boots.
big boots.
Bit what?
Mm.
So if you were to go into the Orc commune, the people from the Orc commune, and set it on fire, what would be the one item that an Orc player would say from their house?
Their motorbike and sidecar.
Their motorbike and sidecar. Tom?
Well, I don't think they'd even leave the house. They'd just try and save everything and die in the fire.
Would they try to punch the fire out?
Yeah.
Probably.
Mob the fire.
A
Shoot
fire-
the fire with all the bullets.
There you go. Just get rid of all the oxygen by just belly flopping the fire.
And finally, what do we think that they are most likely to do for a job, an Orc player?
Something that doesn't require a vast amount of haste.
I don't know.
Oh, they need something. Oh, something that gets a lot of money, but something that you can. Accounting.
I think.
I know.
Postman.
Definitely accounting.
Huh?
Definitely accounting.
Postman, because he gets to drive around in a motorbike
Right.
sidecar really, really fast.
Postman
All day.
or
Nah,
Accountant.
I'm not for accounting, but right. So accounting, because accounting is really
Yeah,
boring.
doctor.
So they need a way to enjoy the rest of their spare time to the maximum. They don't care what anyone else thinks, because if no one can convince them not to do accounting, then no one's going to convince them not to play or.
that's a solid argument.
So they go and do accounting. They make mad bang from the accounting, so they can actually afford that Orc army. And then when they finish their day job, they go and bend by lobbing orcs at people and screaming "Wah!"
So we've had Plasterer said motorbike riding, punk rock, accountants. Yes, I mean that could be true. I feel that they could be mechanics.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, John's spot on there.
John's
Mechanic,
got on there. I think that's good.
or a doctor who's just really renegade and
Just
Like-
doesn't care.
like it could. There could be a doctor who works with people who have had a limb amputated when they're coming up with crazy new arms for them to have.
I think Ixtab might have won.
Yeah.
The former UK Foreign Secretary.
Foreign Secretary.
Whatever job Boris Johnson is doing at the time. Cry for Dogs, dentists. Oh yeah, because they love teeth, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dentist is probably the best answer.
Some iron. Give people some iron jaws.
Oh, nice. So my motorbike riding punk rock dentists.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think we've nailed it. That's a drawing coming soon, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Doctor in a foreign third world country. Also hairstyle. Yeah, maybe they'd have a mullet. Mullet's a good haircut though. Like mullet's just a good haircut. Business at the front, party at the back.
No.
You know what's going down. You're never confused by a guy with a mullet. You know when a guy's rocking a
I'm
mullet?
confused. Like, why'd you have that haircut?
Because you know why. You meet
Why?
him and you go, all right, my name's Racy Steve. And you go, I know everything I need to know about you from your name being Racy Steve and the mullet. Like, I like you.
Right. I'll explain the mullet. It means you don't have to pay for someone to cut your hair.
Hashtag first turn. Tom, you've been amazing.
You know, you guys have been great. Thank you for carrying me through that entire section.
It's fine. It's just a weekly occurrence. Nikos,
Oh.
Nikos, you've been great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rob, you've been
awesome as well. Rob.
I think I've been OTT today, but hopefully
It's
you've
been
been
great, man.
constructive.
Yeah, every time, man. It's gonna be great.
Everyone in the chat that's still here, I don't know where you're watching, if you're on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or everywhere, thank you very much. Thank you, obviously, to the moderators like Arkian and John and people like LLV who are helping, working really hard. Everyone on Patreon who does, like, they keep me going, which keeps the show going. Just Jay Booth, who I saw today, just all of you. Just, you're all brilliant people. If you listen to the podcast, obviously all these people support the show. You listening to the show supports the show. You telling your friends about the show helps support the show. So, like, we appreciate it. If you could let your friends know. And if you don't agree with the stuff, fire back. Drop some messages. Like, get involved in the chat. You know, like, I ain't scared. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. Yeah, so come in.
Bring it on.
Opinions, boy.
Yeah. Or change my mind. Like, I'm not, like, resolutely stuck on these. I just hope it's the best course. And if you think something different, like, let us know so that we can have honest, open, strong, healthy dialogue where I hopefully end up being right. But I probably won't.
You'll either be right one way or the other, even if you didn't start off being right.
You are?
Either you learn and you become right, or you were right all along.
Nice.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Who knew we'd get some wisdom from that kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got a book of quotes open at home? You're like,
He's just Googled it.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm
Just
going to end
Googled it.
every show with a quote. That's my
I
plan.
have Twitch chat and another Discord server where someone looks like they've sent a pic of what looks like Lord Farquaad, but I'm not entirely sure.
Oh, because you look like Nikos.
No,
From Rob, Tom, and Nick, this has been the Honest Wargamer. You guys are wonderful, and we'll see you
Next time.
on the Honest Wargamer.
Next time.